Hello, everyone, and welcome to the as yet unnamed X-Wing podcast presented to you by Dice Eight Productions. I am your host, Ed Horn. Alongside me, or actually above me, I believe, or below me. No, you're below me.
I'm below you. You're up there.
Below me, you're going to find my partner in crime and gaming, one Mr. Chad Brown. How's it going, Chad?
Hey, everybody.
All the way in Omaha in Sparta country, we've got our friend Sean Dorsey. Sean, how's it going, my friend?
Good. How's everybody doing?
Outstanding. And our beloved benefactor from Dice Eight Productions himself, one Mr. Kris Sheriff. Kris, how's it going?
You've suddenly found a way to make this 2-hour time difference with me being behind you guys worse for me. I don't know how I let this happen.
All right, so in reality, it is a combination of your travel plans and my travel plans that are really screwing this up. You're going to the UK today. You're getting on a plane today. I'm leaving for Ireland in 3 days. This is the only day we could schedule, so we are actually recording on a Saturday morning as opposed to our normal evening. So you're going to catch a lot of us with actual caffeine in our system. We're going to be awake. We're not going to be tired. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Actually, this is all my fault.
Yeah, it's true. This is true. Normally we would have recorded I'm sorry. It is true. Normally It would have been Thursday.
We would have recorded Thursday, but I made plans when there was no show anymore. So I made plans for a Thursday night.
All right, we can't let that slide by without you actually discussing what you did. So we'll just slide right in right after that. We're going to go into a really quick flight deck, kind of cover over the stuff we've been doing, and then we've got a ton of news to cover. First of all, we're going to kind of give our reactions to Worlds, an interesting list. It happened, a very interesting list. Won Worlds, finally. A list that I've been waiting to see on a final table to Worlds finally made it. So we're going to kind of cover over that. And then, of course, we are actually recording the day after the unboxing videos from FFG, Alex, Frank, and Max, all sat together and broke open every single conversion kit. We didn't get to see everything, but we got a generic look at everything else that was going to be in there as far as ships and ship dials and what the generic pilots are going to look like, and some upgrades. So we're going to kind of react to that as opposed to reiterating every ship that came out of it, just kind of get our reactions. So all of that and coming up right after this. All right, we're back in the pseudo flight deck. We're going to cover over what we've been doing. Mine's super quick. I haven't picked up ships at all in the last 2 weeks. It's just been a little bit crazy. Haven't had an opportunity to do anything. But, Chad, have you been flying anything? Because if not, I want to talk about where you were on Thursday and why we couldn't record, because this has nothing to do with X-Wing in any way, shape, or form, but it's super cool.
Damn it, I wish I'd flown something.
I have nothing to talk about? Damn it.
I have not played recently, no.
And that's interesting, too. I've heard this from a lot of players recently. When 2.0, and can we just convert over to second edition, the 2.0 thing really kind of doesn't feel right to me. Mishari started a thread on the Nova Squadron about, what's everyone calling it? Because we didn't really start, every time they did an FAQ, it's 1.5, 0.6, you would really software.
Yeah, I'm sure we called the Force Awakens Corset 1.5.
I think we did
I don't think it stuck, but I'm sure we did.
I'm sure we did for a short period of time. Eventually, what's going to happen in a couple of months, it's just going to be X-Wing.
Yeah.
The differences between first edition and second edition are just going to start dropping away. We're going to be 3 or 4 months into second edition, and then no one's going to call it anything anymore. It's just going to be I'm playing X-Wing. So I recognize people are trying to go for the two differences, but anyway, I'm going for 2 years second edition. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about.
I think when I was chatting to Frank, or it might have been Alex, he was saying that he liked X-Wing Black Series.
Ooh, I like that.
Because of the snazzy new packaging.
It is snazzy. So something completely non-X-Wing related. Where were you Thursday?
Thursday I was at the Hard Rock Cafe in Pittsburgh.
You were performing at the Hard Rock Cafe in Pittsburgh. Let's be clear about
I was. So after we're done recording here today, I am going to jump in. I'm going to get changed. I'm going to jump in my vehicle, and I'm driving back up toward Pittsburgh to go to what's called Three Rivers Con. It's a Comic-Con that they're doing in the failing mall known as Century 3 Mall, which I think they're closing, so they're going to have to find a new place next year.
Really? I didn't realize that Century 3 was closing.
Yeah, everybody's been pulling out of it forever because online.
How long it's been since I've been there?
Online shopping is killing malls.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Century 3 Mall, which was only half full back in the day, has really gone downhill apparently. from what I've heard.
Yeah, no, yeah, you haven't been in there either.
No, not you. You were probably there with me the last time I went in there.
Probably.
But they had a kickoff event for the Three Rivers Comic Con on Thursday, which was called Cosplay Karaoke.
So this is something that you have been doing for, I want to say, at least the last 2 years for
the cosplaying thing, yeah.
Where you're going to these comic conventions, because we have one that rolls through like I swear it's like every 2 months.
It's every 4 months.
It's every 4 months?
Yes.
Every 4 months there's a new con.
Still City Con comes through every 4 months.
You have gotten some phenomenal autographs for folks on there. You were knighted by the Emperor.
Yeah, I am Darth Barkon now, yeah.
You have C-3PO's autograph.
I have the Emperor's autograph on his old crew card. C-3PO's old crew card.
Just wait till he comes back. You've met Billy D. Williams. You
got old crew card. He busted off my satellite dish.
Snapped off the satellite
and I got him to sign the bottom of the Falcon. Yeah.
Still one of the funniest things. So like,
you forgot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before he retired, David Prowse, who used to actually play, who was in the Darth Vader suit. You've got his autograph.
His old crew card.
So, like,
thanks, FFG.
And he's gotten to the age where he's retired. He's not going to be doing conventions anymore.
Yeah.
So that's it. Like, you're never going to see that opportunity again. But you've been going to this, but you haven't just been going to get the autographs. You started really getting into the cosplay contests.
Yes.
You've latched onto something that I love. I think it's fantastic.
You should join me.
Oh, I don't know that I could do it.
Dude, I do it.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad you enjoy it. I don't know that I could do it. But anyway, so you've developed this character.
Yeah.
Well, it's not yours, but you've definitely put your own little twists on it, and you've had a lot of fun. Can you just give the reveal since...
So, you got a comment, Kris?
I was going to say there may be a picture over Chad's face at the moment. So the reveal may have been spoiled.
Oh, well.
So if you're watching on YouTube, and that's going to be at the Dice 8 YouTube channel, you already know that Chad attends.
I dress up as Deadpool, and each time I do a different theme.
Each time. This particular time was based on the trailer release.
That first trailer.
The first trailer release where Deadpool did Bob Ross.
Yes.
So you were Bob Ross Deadpool.
Bob Ross Deadpool. I've gone through about several different Deadpools now. The first one I did was just because I have a costume, and with my long hair and the beard, how can I not own a Jesus costume?
I've been meaning to ask you how you get all of that tucked into the Deadpool mask, but that's
it surprises people.
That's a side conversation.
Yeah. So I did a Jesus Deadpool, and I got up on stage, and I thought it was a really well costume. There weren't a lot of people there, but because it's one of those, like, oh, well, this is a family kind of thing and all that. And when I was on stage, I gave a little line, and Kris is laughing. Do you have the Jesus Deadpool up there? Is that what it is?
No.
Okay.
I've just seen the pictures.
Wonderful.
He's chuckling.
So I got up there, and I gave a line on stage right before the judges got to give the full look, and I basically said, and Deadpool took the bread and broke it and said, "This is my body, eat me."
I think that's fine.
Yeah,
totally
I don't know.
You didn't swear.
No, I did that one, and then they did a special horror convention because this was in Monroeville, right outside the mall where they filmed
Night of the Living Dead, George Romero.
No, it wasn't Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, that was
Dawn of the
Dead. They did that.
Yeah.
So Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania, one of our claims of fame, among other things, is that when George Romero filmed the original black and white Night of the Living Dead, he did it here in Pittsburgh. When they did Dawn of the Dead, the mall is actually at the mall where he was at. They filmed that in Century 3 Mall, so that's kind of
Monroeville Mall.
Oh, that's right. They filmed Monroeville. Yeah.
But I did basically I put on a pair of jeans. I got a long sleeved denim shirt, and I bought a cheap hockey mat, like foam hockey mask and a machete, and I basically went as Deadpool dressed as Jason for the horror con, which they totally loved that costume.
You were in costume, dressed in a costume.
Yes, I was cosplaying as somebody cosplaying, which was a total Deadpool thing. The judges loved it. They actually brought me back up on stage for the final cut. for that one.
It's such an Inception thing to do.
And for that particular costume, I had gone to Walmart at Halloween, bought a couple of these styrofoam zombie heads. I painted one up, put one of my old masks like halfway on it, and I did head pull.
Deadpool,
which is one of the Deadpools from the multiverse. So I was carrying around this severed head Deadpool, and I was dressed as Jason. I did that.
Deadpool made a reappearance on Thursday.
Yes, he did. I then did a Santa Claus Deadpool.
I saw
back in December.
That was good.
So that was fun. Oh, I skipped over the one from last August. So at that Still City Con, the cowboy from the Village People was there.
Oh, that's right.
So
I forgot about
I dressed up as Deadpool in a biker outfit, and I went and got one of those 70s mustaches and pinned it to the front of my mask. So, like, it comes down and all the way down like this to be the biker. I took the severed head and got a Native American, like, headdress from, like a party store. Pinned that onto its head. So I went as the biker. The severed head was the Native American. And I actually got my photo taken with the cowboy from the Village People.
So did he get the joke?
I think he did, yeah.
That's always the question I have. Did he get the joke?
Yeah. So
but anyway,
the latest is the Bob Ross. I went out there to do cosplay karaoke. I took the severed head with me as a last minute kind of, I'm definitely doing this decision.
And what song did you sing? Because it's apropos, I think.
As a Bob Ross Deadpool, the only song that I could think of, and luckily they thought the same song, Painted Black by the Rolling Stones.
I have a video. I will have to send this to Kris.
Oh, she sent you the video.
She sent me the video.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so I will have to send that off to Kris so that he can enjoy it as well.
For that, I did the most Deadpool thing ever. I took a song meant for one singer, turned it into a duo, and then I did both parts myself. So yeah, I made a song a duo, and then I did both parts myself. And basically, in the song, there's humming, and that was where I had held the severed head Deadpool up to the other microphone that was on stage. And since he basically just growls and everything, that's what he was doing instead of humming. So he's like, as that part was going on. And and I actually won a $25 gift card to Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, did you? I did not know that.
I did win. They gave me for vocals.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're like the man who came up and did a duet by himself and brought his own duet partner who wasn't really even a partner. I mean,
I did not know that.
So yeah, the whole Deadpool, just totally breaking everything aspect of it was enough to get me the best vocals. Even though I probably wasn't the best singer there, they just loved Deadpool doing his bit.
But you had fun with it. That also.
Oh, I had a blast.
Good. But unfortunately, that pushed our recording day to today, so we can kind of get around everyone's travels.
Yeah. Like I said, I made those plans when there was no show, no talk of coming back.
And we're still kind of we should probably get that one out of the way. We haven't named our new X-Wing show yet because we don't know what it is, and we also don't want to miss putting out content, so we're just kind of tossing things out until we find a name that we like. We've tossed around some names, nothing's really stuck to the wall yet. We'll get back. Once we do, though, we will make it more an official announcement. We'll make a more official logo, that kind of stuff, and we'll move on from there. We haven't quite got there yet. All right, so we've monopolized this conversation for a while. I am going to.
Yes, please move on. I would really appreciate that.
You had no idea you were going to be talking about that.
No, I didn't. Thanks.
Got him. All right, so Sean, we're going to move on to you. I haven't talked to you for a little bit. I haven't talked to you for a bit. What have you been up to, man?
Oh, not a whole lot, really. Mostly working, but Legion, of course. Legion's the new cool. So, been working with that. But actually, I haven't played any X-Wing, but I've been building some lists just to get the familiarization back into flying and stuff like that, which I may do this Tuesday to kind of get the feel for the game again.
I'm doing the same thing, Sean. I think I'm just going to start picking up TIE fighters since their dial hasn't really changed from first edition to second edition. At all. Yeah, just start flying TIE fighters again, just to kind of remember what it was like to fly TIE fighters.
Right, and then the other thing is just learning the new cards and how they all work. That's kind of a neat thing. And of course, I've been taking all my 1.0 stuff and putting it away nice and neatly, tucking it in a little shoebox, and getting prepped for the 2.0 and or whatever we want to call it, and just kind of revving up. And the reason why is I'm going to Gen Con in August, so I really want to be ready for when I get back. And
my credit card, right? Here, at least my credit card numbers.
I have so many people asking about that. It's just like, we'll see. I
won't hold you to it. I'm honestly, I'm willing to wait. I genuinely believe in pay where you play, and I honestly am going to put pre-orders in with our store. But there is that part of me that's like, it's like 2 or 3 weeks early. Like I have to have it, mostly because I want to read the rules. Because I know that I've even heard people taking like the list that they've put on streams and just trying to play with those, knowing with the stuff that we know now, like we know dials, we know what all the pilots that have been on stream do, and they're just trying to pick up on it. But there's a lot of things about the rules that we don't know yet. So I don't know how they're playing it. I don't know. It's weird.
That's kind of the thing for me is I want to try to get a core set. Hopefully they'll have conversion kits. So my goal is to get, one of the reasons why I want to get this one of everything at a minimum is so that A, we can talk about it, but B, it's just so that the Tuesday night group that Patrick McDonald runs here in Omaha now, we have the stuff available to be seen. Now Patrick's going also, so that's a good thing. We'll have a little bit more than just one of everything. So, but that's the thing. I mean, I'm just itching to get my hands on the new stuff and then start putting stuff together. Now, my question is, I'm wondering this, is if we'll see the app prior to the true release date.
September 15th, I think it is, for the app.
Okay.
Same date as the normal release.
Okay,
now,
so
we don't going to put the rule book out though, because I know that they said
September 13th. Sorry.
Okay, I know that they said that the rule book was going to be available online. So I'm curious that once people have their stuff, have it in their hands at Gen Con, if they're just going to at least release the rule book. I get not releasing the app and not having the points, but that seems weird to sell a product that people can't actually play with.
Well, I know that when I sent an email out when I was at Worlds and stuff, trying to see if I could get some time to get some proper photographs and stuff, because I didn't want to have to use like screen caps of everything, because I didn't want to be showing the awesome new product with these crappy screen captures, and they just never got back to me. So they seem happy to have whatever crappy scanned in images. So either option wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure the day of Gen Con someone will have scanned in that rule book and it will be available online anyway. So
of course, and then it'll be available for sale for $600 on eBay that same day.
I didn't sell my cup and I didn't sell my X-Wing because why would you? It's an X-Wing, it's cool.
I completely agree. Couldn't agree. So, Sean, anything else you want to cover?
No, that's pretty much it for right now. I'm just looking forward to getting my hands on the new product, and then, the one thing that was amazing to me, and I know we'll talk about this later, is just the amount of stuff that's coming in the conversion kit. I think that will make it so that the value is going to be there, because the beauty of it is I have a crap ton of ships in my collection. I don't want to give up those ships or have to buy new ships, unless I really want articulating wings or other things. And this way everything is everything I have is valid, and that's the best way to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do or how I'm going to handle my first edition stuff. Part of me thinks same line as you, basically get a box, go through and grab all of my mini upgrade cards and all of my, alt arts and everything, and just kind of toss it into a box and put it away. I don't like the idea of getting rid of any of it because, I don't know, nostalgia. I have plenty of stuff in here that sits in boxes for years anyway, so that doesn't surprise. There's the other part of me is one of the strategies I've heard is taking, and I think Kris, you might have mentioned this whenever we did the faux Nova episode.
Well, if you want to come onto my flight deck, I can go.
Oh yeah, no, well, let's do that. Kris, maybe this will lead into that. What have you been doing lately, my friend?
So I've been dividing up my X-Wing collection to match up with the contents of conversion kits, and then just throwing away cardboard and then taking the rest of it into a store to trade in and start like getting credit towards my buying all the conversion kit stuff, because I'm probably gonna want to buy new X-wings, new Y-wings, and I'll end up probably grabbing maybe, well, obviously you need a core set. I'm gonna buy new Fang fighters and all that kind of stuff because they spin, so I've got to buy new ones. You can't help but. And
oh yeah, no, of course.
I feel like that's
he was a big kid.
Yeah, that's the best way of actually, in my eyes, of moving from first edition to second edition, is I'm going to thin out my collection to, at most, the contents of a conversion kit. Because the talk that I heard at Worlds from different people was that it's designed to be what you can and will use. And I'm past the time in my life where I need to own 7 Seeks and 6 Phantoms, 4 Phantoms, and full play sets of every ship. So even if that's not the case, I don't plan on keeping more than I need to.
Yeah, I think the only thing that the caveat that I toss onto that is we do occasionally play Epic.
So
and then that's
when you play Epic though, do you run like a million? Do you play Imperial on Imperial? Could you not just borrow 4 TIE fighters off someone else?
Yeah, that's true. If they kept the rules the same, yeah.
Okay, so where we do it is at the Outrider Cup, and we do actually have 2 Empire players, 2 Scum players, and 2 Rebel players. So TIE fighters, for example, yeah, you would need a bunch of the TIE fighters. I actually did run a list at one of the Outrider Cups where I ran, I think, 4 or 6 Phantoms.
Yeah, I used to run 8 TIE fighters in standard play.
Yeah,
and
it's doable.
Actually,
I'm not too fussed about not being able to do that, and ultimately, I'll just buy more TIE. I'm gonna have I'm keeping the 2 from Magazanti because I'm keeping all my Epic ships intact. 2 from Magazanti, 2 from a core set, and then, I'll keep another 2. That gives me 6 already. I'll buy 2 more blisters. It doesn't matter. The money I get from selling off the ships should pay for me to get 2 more if I ever need them.
So just out of curiosity, just so I'm aware, are you selling the ships and the cardboard that goes with them together?
Well, so I took them. It's quite an ingenious
I'm going to steal your idea, just so you know.
Basically, I took the ships into the store and then handed them to an employee. So then I took the ships off myself because I'm an employee and went, okay, well, we don't need any of this cardboard. I'm just going to
right into the garbage can.
My plan for the store is we're going to make up bundles of conversion packs, of conversion pack ships.
Oh, that's cool. So
you can
crack open conversion packs and just sell. Oh, that's really cool.
It's almost like a genius play.
I'm
glad I thought of it. That employee deserves a pay rise.
Yes, he does.
No, but so that's my X-Wing stuff. Oh no, it's all on what your local stores are doing. But as I've said a couple of times, now's an awesome time to both sell and buy X-Wing, because the amount of time you can save yourself by just saying, "Look, I'm throwing all this cardboard away. I don't need it." You can buy the ships though, and in my eyes, your time is worth money. So not having to sort out all of those cards and cardboard is worth infinitely more than the extra $5 you might get for selling it all together. Yeah. It's going to take you multiples of hours, and how much is your time worth? So that's how I just decided.
Unless you want to play X-Wing Classic, as it's probably going to get called, or something of that nature, then have fun sorting all that.
You know how salty the internet has been about X-Wing for like the last 6 months? And it's like, I'm not moving on. Oh, okay, well, you stay in this steaming pile of shit you've been complaining about for the last, 6 months. Yeah, you cling to that, my friend. You take that steaming pile of manure that you've been talking about, and you cling real tight. I will move on.
Yep. I'm in the same boat. Although you are looking at a person who stuck with 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons when Pathfinder came out and said, nope, 4E is not my deal. I'm sticking with it. This is what I know. That's the old crotchety get off my lawn, old man in me.
Not only if you played Pathfinder.
Yeah, well, we got to get back. We got to get back to it. I have all the books sitting right over there beside him. Well, he's down there.
When you're talking about 3.5, I still have second edition that I'm playing.
So, all right. So,
Thaco.
Okay, Chad can attest to it. He can
look exactly.
I have everything from first edition until fourth, all sitting on a bookshelf, sitting right there. Oh wait, he's gonna grab something. Look at that. There we go. Look at that second edition Player's Handbook. That tells you how big of a nerd I am. It's right there.
I own a 5th edition Player's Handbook. That's it.
Ooh, I've not. That's probably where my breaks hit. Like I stuck with 3.5. We don't get to. So this is way off topic. We don't get to play role playing games enough for me to invest the money into keeping up with all the new editions. That's why when Pathfinder, although there's a Pathfinder second edition coming out now, just so we're on the same page.
It's Pathfinder playtest first, and it'll be available as a free PDF. So don't buy it; just download the PDF.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't know that. See, good. See, he kept up with it. The only thing I did buy recently, I requested for Christmas, was Starfinder, which is the space version of Pathfinder. Read through the rule books, and I'm like, it's.
You know what? The fun story. I don't know how true this is, but Starfinder was going to be Pathfinder 2.0. But they bottled it because their entire market is crotchety old people who didn't want to move on to 4th edition.
Yep.
So Starfinder.
Yeah. So then it was like, oh, well, we've just wrote all these new rules. Sci-fi? Because it's a strongly held belief for me that leveling-based systems don't really work in a sci-fi role-playing setting.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Oh, yeah, I'm level 20 now, so I shoot this laser at you, even better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you want to grab this one, the only one that I've ever really enjoyed and liked was West End Games' Star Wars version, which was that D6 system. And that was a non-leveling system in any way, shape, or form. As you quote-unquote leveled up, you added... Oh, yeah, you can grab that one. That's the Imperial book from West End Games. You added more dice rolls, more things that you could. So it wasn't really level based. It was more how I wanted to tweak my character, and that to me was the best sci-fi role playing game I ever played, and I've not found a good one since.
So Starfinder's no Spelljammer.
No Spelljammer.
Well, Star Frontiers, I think, would be what you would call the space game version of D&D initially.
Yeah,
and that was the better version of it. Spelljammer was pretty bad.
We're flying boats in space, Sean. What's wrong?
Sailing through space.
We're definitely going to call this episode Nova.
Because we're way off topic. All right, I think we kind of covered everyone else. So we've got a couple things real quick in the news we're going to cover. We know that we've got Worlds we want to cover, and of course we've got the unboxing. We should probably kind of get down to that at this point. Yeah, probably. So, all right, so we're going to move on and start discussing Worlds right after this. All right, we're back, and tonight we're going to go over Worlds 2018.
Yes, it's 2018 now.
It is 20. Well, because it's weird for me because there's going to be a second Worlds-like event in October, which I don't know how official that's going to be. We'll get into that shortly. But we do want to cover over the last dying gasps of first edition X-Wing. And we had two lists. It felt like it was almost Wave 5. Wave 5, Wave 6. Because you had Palp Aces versus Brobots on the final table. I think a lot of folks could have easily predicted that Palp Aces list. I've been flying Palp Aces since Palpatine came out. And every iteration that have gone through, whether it was Felvate or Palpatine, or when the Inquisitor came out and you dropped Fella and you put the Inquisitor. Any iteration of that list has been good since the Emperor has come out, and none of them have ever made the final table. It's one of those lists that everyone always prepares for, so it never does really well at Worlds. You'll make a cut. Though those lists will make it into like the top 32, top 16s, but there's going to be those lists that were designed specifically to beat it that always seem to knock it out. So I was really happy to finally see Palpatine on the table at the end of Worlds, and of course, you had this weird, wonky robots list that it's not even the heavy laser cannon variety that's going to punch you in. It's a control robots list. And Simeon flew very well. Simeon from the UK. So I need to touch on this too because we've now had, Sean.
Team EU, baby. Team EU.
Chris, you're Canadian now. Stop.
Only if North America wins.
Only if North America wins. So we had the first four champions were Americans. Obviously,
USA.
The
Team
but
NA.
we're 0-3 after that. Just for the record. Of course, you had Doug Kenny, the first champion. The game had only been out for a few months whenever he had won it. And then, obviously, you had the three-time world champion, Paul Heaver, go back-to-back and win those. And then it started getting to feel more like a Worlds event, where you have Nand had won it, and then you had, I can't even remember the guy's name, or I'm probably going to butcher his pronunciation. The guy from Singapore had won it, and then, of course, you've got Simeon that had won it from this one from the UK. I have to admit, I almost had a tear in my eye when his dad, when the final dice roll was coming up, you could see how proud he was, how happy he was for his son to have gone all the way. They were even there on Worlds because he was the European champion, so that's how they ended up getting tickets to Worlds. And then his son comes up and wins Worlds. So they even posted a picture on Facebook where the two titles were sitting at home, which I thought was really cool. They had both trophies sitting side by side, which I thought was super awesome. But it was a fantastic event. It was a good way to send off on first edition.
The best thing about that for me was the sportsmanship of it, of when those dice rolled, and then
he's like, stop.
The guy's got to re-roll, so he's not dead yet. And he tells his dad,
Yep.
no, get away.
Stop, back up. It's not decided yet. Yeah.
Simeon was a really, really good guy. I spoke to Rasta and Simeon and all of the UK guys before the event started. And we caught up and so friends with one of the guys I was making videos with last year. And really good people. Really, really happy that they showed what they were capable of.
I'd have to say what I was really impressed with was the fact that Simeon's dad had way more hair than I did. I mean, this takes a good bit. If you're going to have, lots of hair. And I saw his hair. I was just like, wow, man, you're dedicated.
Yeah. Dedicated to the cause. Let's kind of get into the lists. Obviously, we had a PAL Bases list. I kind of want to cover that one first because it's one of my favorite lists. It's the quick draw variety. Kris, I know you've got the list in front of you. Do you want to kind of just run down what they were? Because first edition is still important until September because they are going to be doing OP events that are going to allow you to win second edition swag, but they're going to be played in first edition. So I know there's a lot of folks that were deflated, oh, second edition's coming out. I don't care about first edition. Throw everything away.
See,
but
that happened
if you put some of the swag,
that happened on Wednesday. By the Friday, all of the cutthroat scumbags were out, and it was a very different feel in that room. The games on the Wednesday were awesome. Walking around that room on the Wednesday was cool. Walking around that room on the Friday, though, that was
very
a
different
feel. Hopefully X-Wing 2.0 sticks more on the Wednesday rather than the Friday. But it definitely had a different feel. So I'm going to butcher the guy's name because I'm a horrible person. So he's from the Netherlands, and I believe it is Jlet de Bort.
That sounds close enough. And if we're wrong, we're sorry.
And he was running Quick Draw with VI, Fire Control System, Advanced Optics, Special Ops Training, and a lightweight frame. Then Inquisitor with Push the Limits and TIE V1 and Auto Thrusters. And Captain Yaw with Collision Detector and Emperor Palpatine.
Of course.
So pretty standard all around there. VI on Quick Draw over Expertise. So that lets you have counterplay to NIM and the bombs a little bit better. And VI Inquisitor. Inquisitor's good because you can basically solo the Ghost against that TLT with auto thrusters, and your evade you get a really decent chance of living through those.
And I don't
TNT
think
shots.
that Inquisitor build has changed since the Inquisitor came out. I think that VI auto thrusters build has been like the quote unquote stock standard Inquisitor build.
It's
there have
good.
been variations.
It's cheap. It's what lets you fit the expensive quick draw in there. But it's good, a good toolbox. But I don't like stressing Inquisitor because the greens are on the ones and it's very limiting. But
that's why you run yours, so that your can just suck that stress right off of you, so that you have.
In that case, why not PTL? I mean, get extra action.
Yeah, I think that's what he had.
It had PTL.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I
I thought you said it had VI.
No, quick draw had VI.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay. These two upgrades don't matter anymore.
No.
VI and PTL, they're gone. Yeah. We don't need them anymore. Just throw them away.
And then we had Simeon's list, which is IGB, the brutal battle droid. And he is got push the limits, advanced sensors, ion cannon, rigged cargo chute, tractor beam, and does not have ion bomb. The FFG stream was wrong. B does not have ion because that would be stupid. IG 2000 title and auto thrusters. And then the IGC, who I believe is a conniving contraption, has push the limits, advanced sensors.
I'm definitely with Simone on that one. I love the subtitles. They've added so much flavor to it.
Oh dear. Advanced sensors, ion, rigged cargo chute as well, tractor beam, IG 2000 and auto thrusters. And this guy had the ion bomb. The reason you do it this way is because obviously IGB is the priority target in most IG lists because you want to take away those cannon rerolls. So you put the ion bomb onto IGC to make that one more expensive. So that one's 51 points and B's 49, I think it was, something like that. It's a
weird, cheeky little distinction, but it's enough to get you on points on occasion.
Yeah. And yeah, it was pretty interesting to see it flown. If you haven't watched it, any of these games, you definitely want to find Simeon's games online because he was on the stream quarterfinal, semi-final, and final, and it is a masterclass.
Yeah,
I would say being a kind of person, I don't watch too many X-Wing streams anymore. Having done a lot of them myself. There's only so much X-Wing I can force myself to watch as a spectator at my computer now. But watching these games, I haven't enjoyed watching X-Wing as much since I watched Paul Heaver fly Biggs Walks the Dogs. It's that level of...
I just watched that game the other day. It came up on my, hey, have you seen this? I'm like, yeah, I've seen that. Let's watch that one again. Oh, I miss X-Wing when it was like that.
But the decision points that Simeon makes and some really high-level flying, and it really, really good, definitely. And it's fun watching the commentary, listening to a commentary team, not really understanding it, even after 3 games of it being on stream. So we're
not sure how this list got here. We're not sure what he's doing, but he's still winning.
It's like, this could be a tricky position for. I think it was against Nathan. Nathan was flying Corran Horn, Fenro in the Schifferpede and Lulric. And it's like, Lulric's in a really strong position here. It's like, I'm just thinking, well, no, he's not, because barrel roll and then ion puts him off the table. Lo and behold, barrel roll
and ion. And bye.
Yeah, so Lulric took 1 damage and died. It's like, yeah, how'd you like them apples?
And I think that emphasizes what I'm really looking forward to most in 2nd edition is it wasn't card combo as much as it was flying. Being in the right position and being able to pull that kind of stuff off, which is why he had been running, and they talked about it in his interview after, he had been flying robots forever. He was flying robots whenever robots were big and just never stopped. So if you even looked at his dials on the table, like they're white. He never upgraded them. They are white dials. And it used to be the thing with TIE Swarm players. If you saw somebody that flew TIE Swarm and their TIE dials were worn down, you were in trouble because they have flown a lot of games with TIE Swarm.
The best thing I enjoyed, I think, was a Star Kit event when he got home and his robots went like 1 and 4 or something stupid.
Wait, really? I didn't hear that story.
It was a Facebook post. I'm sure, I can't remember the exact details of it, but it's like, back to normality, around my robots, and I'm like 2 and 5 or something.
And every one of them's like, I just beat the world champion. At this point, everybody's beating me today. He won it when it counted. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping to get down on Tuesday to their club night. So hopefully I'll be chatting to Simeon and Rasta and a lot of the guys on Tuesday.
Oh, where's
Get us an interview.
Yeah, that's an interview right there. But is there club near Liverpool?
No.
Oh, damn.
No.
I was going to say, because
it's about a 2-hour drive down south for me.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Because, side note, you and I are going to be in the UK at the exact same time, just a little bit distance. You're going to be
I'll be on the mainland UK. You'll be in Ireland, which you can't really call UK because it's a separate country. Staying in the European Union and everything, you know.
Well, I am doing 2 days in Scotland. Does that count?
Oh, what are you going in Scotland?
That is still UK.
But it's still part of that's UK, but
that is still part of the UK. Yes,
Ireland.
Ed is bad at math and geography.
Apparently, all I know is that when I'm in Dublin, he's in Liverpool. We're 30-minute boat.
Whereabouts are you going in Scotland?
Oh, basically we're renting a car and we're just going from bed and breakfast to bed and breakfast, which I'm going to be really looking forward to driving on the wrong side of the road. That should be
right
fun.
Side of the road.
And the wrong side of the car, too.
And the wrong side of the car, and it's a stick. If I die in a car accident and oversee it, that's why, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'll remove the pins from your doll while you're away.
Please do. I would appreciate that. But basically, she's taking all these bed and breakfasts. We're doing like these castle tours. Like when we're in Scotland, we're going to go to Loch Ness. I'm going to get like a nice little touristy kind of.
Go for a swim.
In front of Loch Ness. I'm taking Super Chat. I told you. But we're just doing some of these castle tours, and then we're going to Dublin, and we're going all over Ireland. Literally, it's going to be get up, travel, and just kind of do it. We want to see the country, and we don't want to necessarily do the touristy kind of stuff. We'll do that once or twice, but we really just want to get there and kind of get and feel the experience of being there. So we're all over the place, actually. Yeah. But it should be fun.
Oh, you'll enjoy it, and it's good. Make sure you have a deep-fried Mars bar.
Deep-fried Mars bar.
Yeah.
I need to ask you, when I'm in Ireland, one of my things is I want to drink in an Irish bar. What should I order?
You've got to order a Guinness, and it'll taste like crap because you're not used to what it's supposed to taste like.
I knew you were going to say that.
How did you not know to order a Guinness?
Because I don't, because they're dirt. I don't do those big.
But if you're in Ireland, how do you not know that Guinness is the one you need to order?
I'm just going to have to suck it up and deal with it.
If you go to Australia, get a Foster's. I mean, these are commonly known things.
No one in Australia drinks Foster's. Because they have taste buds.
That's the myth.
Because they have taste buds.
Yeah.
Sean, do you want to add anything on the list from Worlds, and or are you 1.0 or first
you've been quiet.
Well, I actually mute when you guys are on because Kris hears a background noise. So when I'm on, so there's something either elementally in the house or just in the system. You know,
we couldn't iron out the setup when we were trying to fix it yesterday. We may try to do it when he gets back and figure it out from there, but. It just could be something system. It's a new computer. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to, get Kris onto Skype and everything so that we could figure all this stuff out.
But we're still not an official first episode yet. It's all fine. We'll get it all ironed out by the time that happens.
Yeah. Well, even just having a webcam's weird to me. So, I'm a wee bit older than you guys, and some of the technology drives me nuts sometimes. So. But the other thing too is when you're in Ireland or you're in Europe, or you're in England, or close to England, do as much as you can. I went there in '79, so I was, I think 10. It was 10 in '79 when I went, and it's just a whirlwind. If you can find your way down to London, try to get to London for a day at least, and go to. I know, Chris. I know. But for the tour,
I'm gutted that I have to go down south at all, man. Oh.
I know.
I don't know if we're going to actually make it into the UK at all, because the car that we've rented, the trip is, the package that she bought is Scotland and Ireland. So I recognize that we can hop on the boat and get over to Liverpool to get into the UK. But once we're there, we're kind of restricted to Liverpool because I can't really go anywhere else.
So if you can drive in Scotland, you can drive in England, because it's one country.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
just
no
not going
border
south.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but just try to do as much touristy stuff. I remember as a kid going through, and we did kind of something similar to what you guys are doing, where we went from bed and breakfast to bed and breakfast through Ireland. It was pretty cool. Other than the beds sucked, but other than that,
and a 14-hour flight. I'm not sure which one I'm looking forward to least.
Try to sleep on the plane. It'll be more comfortable.
Yeah, everyone says that. I'm going to have to steal one of my kids' neck pillows or something. I've never done well with trying to sleep on a plane. But basically, we're leaving from Pittsburgh International to Chicago, from Chicago to Amsterdam, and from Amsterdam to Ireland.
Schiphol's a nice airport. Transfers are pretty easy. It's a horseshoe shape. You'll have no problems.
Are the planes big enough, though? I've never been on one that... Probably not. No, it's going to be cattle.
I can sleep anywhere.
No, Ed. You'll be in a biplane. You'll have to spin the propeller to get it going.
I have to keep my feet going on the bicycle wheels to keep the plane going.
Do you remember the plane from the beginning of Indiana Jones Temple of Doom? You're going to be on that. There's going to be some chickens and cargo crates.
Awesome. Totally sleeping on that.
That was an American plane, scumbags. So the only time, I've been on the planes with propellers a few times in my life now. The only times I did it in the UK, it was a Hercules, and I was flying to Jordan.
Yeah, so that's
over here, you guys have got the crappy planes that might fall apart at any moment. We have jets and modern aircraft in Europe. Oh. Seconds.
Is it all right? So again, way off topic. We did the way off topic show. Is the money the same between Ireland and Scotland? They're all euros, right? No. So I'm going to have
Scotland's part of the UK.
So UK pound sterling in Scotland, but the notes are going to be issued either by the Clydesdale Bank or the Royal Bank of Scotland, and look different to normal British money, because why wouldn't it? So what you need to do, if you do if you get an English pound note, you need to ask Scottish people what the exchange rate is between English pounds and Scottish pounds, because they love that.
All right, great. So not only
don't do it if you're in Glasgow, because they may stab you.
Do it.
Well, it's I know we're spending 2 days in Dublin. Then, of course, I saw this article on the internet, released 2 days ago, the most expensive cities in the world to visit. Paris, #1, Dublin, #2. And I'm oh, great. So now I'm going to go. I'm going to get raked for prices while I'm there, but it'll be fine.
Well, it's #2 because of all the money people are spending on alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely.
So worlds. That's our worlds talk. We spoke about the world.
All right, we will get more nitty gritty here whenever we get into second edition stuff, because we have a ton of stuff to come over. Do you want to take a break in between these two?
We'll just keep going. It's fine. We can talk about Saw's Renegades a little bit if you want, and the Reaper, because they should be out in June.
They should be out in June. They are still listed as on the boat, and they are going to be the first official product that you can buy for second edition, which is why they were not in the unboxings, because there's no need. They're not converting those ships. Those two ships. Well, one of them they're technically converted, but there's going to be new X-wing pilots in that box.
Yeah.
And then the U-wing, all the new pilots and stuff are going to be in there as well.
Yeah. So
plus you get the articulating wings. Don't forget that.
Yeah. So the U-Wing and X-Wing are obviously in the conversion pack, but the pilots that are in Swords Renegades won't be. And then the Reaper isn't in because it's only the one ship. But Reaper looks awesome. We'll probably talk about it once it's out, because speculation and chatting about cards is just dull. Not like talking about Ireland and Scotland. That's awesome.
All right, so let's start getting into conversion kits. We can kind of go over the... I don't want to go through and read every single card, every single dial. I do want to kind of hit on the stuff that we liked the most. So let's start off in the Rebel faction, since that is kind of the order that they went. Chad can go high points and low points. I am going to defer to him on this one first.
Oh, good. Let's talk about a faction I don't play.
or not. I mean, if you don't... I thought there was some stuff
the high points of a Rebel faction for Chad... that he doesn't have to buy them anymore for push the limits to put on Sutnia Fell.
No. Well, yeah, that. I still have to buy them because, it's like pulling teeth to get the kid to buy his own ships.
So Logan is still you're still gonna buy the kit.
Logan, a.k.a. Evil Genius, yeah.
So one thing, just an overarching kind of thing, there was you could tell the design space that they were working in for balancing ships. They added maneuvers that were not in the game whenever ships came out. So things like Sagnor's loops and Talon rolls were getting tossed around onto dials.
Or the red stops.
Chad is really sore.
Zeros everywhere.
There were a lot, not about everyone, a lot of them got
the Wookiee gunship, the Hawk, that was...
Yeah, the Hawk. Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
Gotta go backwards.
But you could see where they were going. We knew this going in, but they were really trying to rebalance the shield to hull ratio, and they were basically tamping down shields and upping hull. So things like the B-wing, for example.
That's the only one that bothers me and this is just irrational. Well, not really irrational, I suppose. Was the B-wing going to 4 and 4? Is it for the shields and hull? Because the B-wing. Again, this is my X-Wing versus TIE Fighter days. The B-Wings is all shields, no hull.
Yes.
That's the only one I would have liked to see keep it. It doesn't have a droid slot for regen, so that's the only one that bothered me. I would have liked to see that stay the same. I understand why everything's changed. It's not, I'm not going to cry about it. But that one I was...
I'm willing to trade that shield, though, for the one Talon roll.
Yes.
To be perfectly honest with you. So one of the cool things whenever the B-Wing first came out, aside from the all shields and all hull that it came with, it was the 2K turn, because we'd not seen anything like it before. Now we have a 1K turn, which we'll cover here later, but that was when it was this intricate little knife fighting ship, and it was so difficult to be able to predict where it was going to go at first. And then everyone kind of figured it out, and like, okay, that's the only K turn on the dial. I know if you want to turn around, you've got to do this. You were able to block those out. Now the ability to be able to pull off a one Talon roll in either direction, I saw that, and that was like one of the top highlights of all of the reveals that we got yesterday was that one Talon roll in the B-Wing. I'm like, I can't wait to fly B-Wings. That's going to be so cool.
Yeah, the first list I build will be with B-Wings.
Yeah, it does look cool. The one for me that I wanted to talk about is obviously the Hawk.
Oh, let's get to it.
Obviously
I'll pull it up on my little cheat sheet here. Let's start off with the fact that it's no longer the only ship in a game with a 1 attack die.
No, it's got a turret, a primary attack turret with 2 dice.
And it's a 180 turret too. It is not just the one arc.
No, it is. Is it a 182? It's let me double check the symbol. I'm pretty sure it is only a 90 degree. I need to find one that's definitely got.
Do.
Where's
I'm scrolling through to try to find.
I need to find the Falcons one. No, it is a 90 degree. It's got a different symbol. It's a 90 degree.
Passed.
Yeah. It's an only 90 degree turret, but it's still good. It's got extra 2 shields, so that's better than 1. So it lost hull and gained shields.
And then it bumped its the dial got one heck of an up.
Yeah, it got a 0.
Yay!
Yeah.
Boo.
Shut up, chat. No one cares. Take your space case
outside. The 0 was introduced with one of his favorite ships, which got a rear firing arc. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But the dial's solid now. It's better. Like the 3 banks being red and not having 3 turns on the old dial was what really held it back. This is like better than a Y-wing dial now because you've got the 0, you've got the turret, you've got some funky actions, you've got a red boost, you've got a red jam. You can obviously rotate your turret, and then you've got some linked actions for like focus rotate or target lock rotate. So really interesting combinations there. They did spoil Jan Ors as part of the opener. She was pretty neat. If you have your friendly ship in Arc, you can boost their attack still. And then
and that's something that they hit on quite a bit on. Like there in first edition, there were a lot of mechanics that added dice to results, and they were very specific in stating that ability is super rare. Yeah. So Jan Ors being able to still do that as a support ship role, super cool. Now you still need to be able to put them in your primary firing arc to be able to pull that off. Okay. So it's not just the 360 arc, any ship within range 3, I can do it anymore. You really need to kind of plan a little bit better.
Yeah.
You need to fly a little bit better to be able to pull that off.
So we'll put a pin in that point, because when we kind of close up, I've got some things I wanted to talk about. But yes, Moldy Crow makes it an awesome title now. It quasi does what it did, but gives you an extra attack dice, so you get Combat Hawk. Yeah, 3 attacks.
Nice.
But they did nerf the amount of focus you can stack on it.
Yeah, you can only carry 2, but...
Well, and they discussed that. It's one of the things that Alex had said, too. There was a whole bunch of combinations in the game. Tycho Calcio was one of the first ones that I thought of on this one, too, where you could technically infinitely build tokens. You could just build... The joke used to be that Tycho carried around a wagon with him that carried all of his stress tokens because he just kept building them up and building them up. The Moldy Crow title, same thing, where you just built up this stockpile of focus tokens. That's being removed from the game. So they are hitting a ceiling on those. And I like that. This is one of those things that always felt weird to me in first edition. Like, well, because if you ever played anyone that was playing Tycho, you're like, okay, so at this point I've got 8 stress. I'm out of stress tokens. Can we just assume that he's always going to be stressed? That's how we would play those games. It's like, all right.
Or people would bring a D20, which...
Or so like build them up as they went along. So they're eliminating those abilities to be able to just build infinite amounts of tokens onto ships. And I think that's it's a fix. It's something that needs to be corrected.
Yeah. Anyone else got a standout?
Yes. My favorite ship in the game is now a real boy, or it's actually now a man. Outer Rim Smuggler.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. He finally
no longer a 5/5. It's now an 8/5, so it has survivability, and then it has 3 attack dice.
Yeah.
Now, sadly, I think we're not going to be able to run Rebel Convoy because there's just too much extra to cost it within that 27-point price range. But just having Outer Rim Smugglers, as I'm going to guess probably a 32 to 35 point filler ship is going to be amazing. It makes the ship that's it's a missing filler ship, I think, for the Rebels.
How much do you think the loss of the 1 hurdle hurt it?
Exactly what I was going to ask.
That's an interesting question, but I don't know. You can do a lot. Is basically what it's going to make is the flying more important than just being able to 1 turn into position to block and things like that. It'll just force you to actually think ahead and try to plan your two turns out a little bit better, or adding a talent, or what is that? That's a Signor's loop on it.
Yeah.
That's another whole thing too that people don't get is now you just created a mobile large base ship that can Signor's loop along with being able to kind of muck up the middle. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited about this. I'm excited in my kind of 1A is the Arvel change. Not that I like Arvel per se, but I like the change. Yeah, our Arvel is much better now than he was totally a waste of a ship in 1.0.
That's right. Alex loves A-Wings. Of course he was going to fix Arvel.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I want to touch... I'm sorry, go ahead, Kris.
Did you say your standout pick, Ed? Or did you just throw it straight to Chad?
The B-Wing was my standout for me. Okay. But I do want to hit, real quick, since we were still talking about the Falcon, I do want to hit the title, because there's been quite a few people that pointed out to me already that the title specifically says Rebel YT 1300. So they're like, oh, that confirms we're going to get a Scum one. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know that that's necessarily true, because you're going to end up with a Falcon in the Resistance with Rey. So I don't know that that's a confirmation that there's a Scum one coming out. It'd be great, because everyone wants to see the movie's coming out. It'll be coming out while I'm in Ireland, and apparently the damn release dates are different. So I'm not even going to have to watch Solo in Ireland.
I'll text you and spoil it.
25th, I think.
One thing I think about that though with the Solo Falcon is, if it's a different sculpt altogether.
Yeah.
So I could see them doing that and actually enjoy that, because Solo is going to be a part of the 2.0 universe, I'm pretty sure. So having that new sculpt will make people want to buy the new sculpt for the Scum faction.
I like the fact that if you look at the TIE Reaper and the Swords Renegade packs that are coming out, I like the fact that they're after the film has come out. So that when we got The Force Awakens core set and you got Poe Dameron at Pilot Skill 8, then you see the movie and you're like, well, he's Pilot Skill 9, isn't he? Yeah. And they do the change and they fix that. Giving it a bit of time. Like you said,
the jump not the jump master, the quad jumper. Yeah. Like, oh, they got this cool ship. I'm like, okay, we're gonna pick that one and go with it. And then it turned out to not really do much of anything in the movie.
Yeah. One other one I think we should talk about, just as a standout, as I think this is awesome, is Dash Rendar and the YT 2400. I think that's gonna be really good fun. HLC basically built into the ship, fixing the donut hole problems. Looks like it's going to be an awesomely good fun ship to fly.
And it made those barrel rolls red.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I wonder what the cost. See, this is the one thing that really is missing right now, is understanding costing in this game. Yeah. Because Dash Rendar, when I look at this Dash Rendar, in the old version of point cost, you'd be 60 to 70 points here, in this, to me, with everything that they've given him.
So I think, this is one of the points we can talk about it now before we move on to the next box, I suppose. I know, when Ed was talking about it, one of the things I've found a lot of people seem to be doing, listening to podcasts, reading stuff online, is looking at this new stuff through goggles that have got 1.0 filters on them. And I don't feel like you can. So, yeah, he's got a 4 dice primary attack, but it's not on the turret anymore.
I'm going to jump in on that, Chris, though, because it's the only goggles we have right now, because we don't understand the way that the game is going to be put together yet. If there's one thing that's lacking, and it's would be lacking potentially until, September 13th, is the actual portion of the game that matters the most, which is point cost, building, what's on the, we don't know what the ship has for upgrades.
Yeah.
We don't know. And that's the hard part in all of this speculation. So looking at it through the eyes of 1.0.
I'd like to jump in and counter that, if you don't mind for a second, Sean. I don't know that matters. And I'm going to kind of take it from the goggles of, I'm trying to take second edition at face value at this point, knowing that upgrade slots and point costs don't matter. If they get them wrong, they'll fix them. And they'll correct those. So, I'm really, in my mind, and I agree. I think so what Kris was saying, I think a lot of people are trying to look at ships from the first edition goggles and going, oh, this would have been great in first edition. And they're doing it on that. They're doing the same thing that we're doing right now, where we go, but we don't know what the points costs are, if it would be balanced out. The points costs and the upgrades don't matter, because those can change fluidly.
But in reference to a list, though, you don't have what you can put with, because the main thing about list building, at least, from, I'm going to say Wave 4 on, became that min-max view of the game. It's how you maximize the minimums in the game with all of the upgrade cards. Yeah. I'm just interested. I don't really care. The point cost doesn't matter to me. None of that actually matters. What matters to me, though, is that you can make, and I'm sure that they're there, but, seeing is believing, but the viability of lists or other ships that can go with this is what's important to me to see. But, you know, I mean, it's 3 months away, so it's not that long. But I can understand, you know, the point of people looking at it through a different lens.
It'll come more into it as we get to the Imperials, I think. But like with Dash in particular, I feel like it's going to be roughly half your list, isn't it? Dash at the moment is roughly half your list. So Dash in a new game should be roughly half your list, because that's what we spoke about. And they'll tailor it if it turns out that 4 attack, initiative 5, I keep wanting to say pilot skill, with the access to what we are going to assume are going to be like EPTs and stuff like that as well, it is abusive. They'll take away his EPT, or they'll raise his points cost, so it's now 2/3 of your list. And if you all it needs to be is 1 point short of being able to fit Dash and Jan in a list. If Jan boosting up Dash to a 5 dice attack is toxic, it only needs to be 1 point too expensive, and you can't do it anymore. And that's effectively half a point now.
Right.
So I get it. I understand why people are looking at it that way, because as you say, that's the only way people can. But it's more committing hard on these are my opinions on this stuff doesn't feel like the way to go at the moment. I'm like, well,
yeah.
I agree with that. Like, that's good. That's a good way to look at it.
For me, I'm focusing on 2 things. Well, 3 things mostly. Mostly I'm focusing on the dial of the ship, because how ships move in the game, with the exception of how barrel rolls work, isn't changing. So I can look at a dial and have a really good idea of how a ship is going to maneuver on the table. If it's got a barrel roll, if it's got a boost. It's one of the reasons why I really like Interceptor. Yeah, exactly. It's one of the reasons why I like the Interceptor, because in my mind, with the exception of the focus evade, they haven't really changed. They're still able to do all the things that they used to be able to do. So I look at those dials, and I look at the stat lines and the abilities, the baseline abilities of the ships, because we got every generic, varying initiatives, but we got every generic, so we at least know what the baseline stats for a ship are, and what the baked-in abilities of
ship
those
abilities,
ships are.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, and the dials. So we can begin to make some ideas of how they're going to fly in the table. For me, I get the idea of trying to associate point cost to it, but it almost doesn't matter to me at this point, because that could change within the first update to the game. So I'm trying to, when evaluating good and bad, like I'm looking at a lot of the TIE Fighter pilots, because Howlrunner, I'm looking forward to flying Howlrunner, Iden, and a whole mess of ties to get those on the table, and those relatively haven't changed. I know that an Academy pilot's 24 points right out of the gate because Alex said so. That could change, though. They could drop them down to 23, 22, whatever.
You go to 22, you can fly 9.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go. So there's only so much design space. But this just tells you how perfect the TIE Fighter is for a baseline ship in X-Wing, because that's where they said that they based it off the TIE Fighter was where they started, and they adjusted everyone else down both in power and up in points based on that TIE Fighter. So I'm hoping we still live in a world where we can fly 8 TIE Fighters, but if we get to that point where we lower TIE Fighters down to like not where you can get 9, I think that gets a little bit outlandish. So
well, that actually brings up a question for me, because looking at the lists of what's in the conversion kits, are there going to start being ship limitations? So the big question that I have is, with the conversion kits only having 4 TIE Fighter dials, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I actually didn't catch it if they said it, but are the conversion kits going to be the limits?
Looking at them, I don't think we're going to be hard limits, but it's going to be like what people will be flying. For TIE Fighters, you're going to remember you need to buy a core set to play 2nd edition.
Right, no, so I get that, but that would give you 6.
Yeah, and generally 6 ties at the end of 1.0 was what people who were flying TIE Swarms were flying.
Right.
That could change, but I don't know that you necessarily have to cater for corner cases. And the thing that really amuses me is people start saying, oh, I've got to now buy an extra conversion kit to get my 8 TIE fighters. So, well, you don't. You could sell 4. If you own 8 TIE fighters, you could sell 4 of them. And with that money, you could then buy 2 TIE fighter packs when they come out. Get the new packs, the starter set, and 1 conversion kit.
Right.
So I want to challenge that one real quick. And you're right. You could do that. But I don't know if anyone else picked up on the fact that small base ships are moving to $20. They're $19.99 US.
Yeah.
They finally, and they kept that game the same cost from wave 1 to wave 14, where small base ships were at 14. They finally caught up.
Not always.
Well, but some of the larger ships. But point being, FFG hasn't adjusted the prices unless they're larger points. So they finally bumped everyone up. So for that same $40, you could buy 2 TIE fighters, or you could buy another conversion kit. Now, I know that the MSRP on those is $50, but there are going to be those discount websites out there that are going to drop them down 20%.
I'm sure they'd also be selling TIE fighters, though.
Right, that's true, too. That's true. In my opinion, if
apples to apples, Ed, come on.
You're right, and that is a fair argument. But I always get, and I'm one of those people. Believe me, if you're one of those guys that owns 22 TIE fighters,
so that
X8
my
X-Wings,
direct point was to the people who are complaining about having to buy an extra conversion kit. I'm gonna have to go out and buy 4 decimators then because I've now got cardboard that I can't use. No, just buy TIE fighters. Problem solved.
Yeah. And
you can then argue. You can keep arguing it circularly, but ultimately, this is why you don't cater to corner cases.
Well, I agree with that, Kris. And my big thing, my belief is that over time, we're going to see all the ships that are in the game in either a new sculpt or a resculpt, repaint, and put back out there for people to buy. It won't be as, they don't need to flood the market like they do or did with 1.0, but they can do basically you're just going to put like a houndstooth out there, to buy with the 2.0 stuff in it, with extra new stuff potentially in it to make it unique to have that houndstooth. So I'm looking forward to, what they do with this. I like the fact that the 2 things for me that really sold me on it is number 1, they took out the resistance and they took out, the First Order from being a faction that's tied into Rebels and Imperials. That was awesome because they're really not Rebels and Imperials. The second thing is, which they may have a hard time doing, but is that means that we're going to get new stuff in those factions. It's not going to be limited to a minimal gain. And we may see stuff, and this is just a guess, but stuff that can come in from books or anything else. We could see a lot of stuff that could come into play in the game and gives them great design space. Like for me, with Legion, what I'm hoping they do, which I don't know if they will or won't, is I want to see them do eras rather than faction. Like right now we're in the Saga era, so you have Rebels and Imperials. And in the future, I hope that they do, Clone Wars era. They do basically turn it into an eras game rather than into a faction game, like they did with the way X-Wing has been. That's an awesome, thing that they did, and that's what sold me, because they're looking at it more so than just Imperials, Rebels, and Scum now. And as movies go forward, we may get other factions too, which opens the game up even more.
Do you want to do Imperials and?
Not yet, because Chad's got. There's 2 other points I want to make out. Chad's got one he wants to discuss Han, because that was his highlight that he wanted to cover.
So basically what I was going to say is, as far as like my son Evil Genius and all that, he changes up his list very regularly. We have a player, though, it's his half brother that we call Josh. I'll just Han that McMillan, because he flies Fat Han, and that's all he's ever flown. That's all he'll ever fly. We've tried giving him other ships. He doesn't do good with it. So I specifically looked at Han's ability to see what has changed and all that, because I've yet to talk to him since the video came out. So I'm going to try and talk to him over the weekend here to see what his take is, since he's been exclusively flying Fat Han for a couple years now. But Han's new ability at range 0 to 1 of an obstacle, his reroll goes into effect. Unless you're flying on the edge of the board, when are you not within range 0 to 1 of an obstacle?
Well, and keep in mind, that doesn't say offensive dice.
No. Right.
And
so
he gets a reroll.
Right, and it doesn't count as a reroll.
So he gets an inbuilt, quote unquote, he gets his ability, and then he gets an inbuilt C-3PO almost. So it basically brought back Fat Han to almost exactly where he was.
And there's no limit to it. So every dice roll he could do that. But my thing is like I said, the inclusion of the 0 to 1 of an obstacle. Like I said, unless you're flying the outer edge of the board, when are you not within 0 to 1 of an obstacle?
So one other question to that is 0. So if you're 0 of an obstacle, means you're overlapping the obstacle, which means can we fire off obstacles, or will that just affect the defense dice?
It would be for the defense dice, I'd imagine.
Debris cards.
Right.
No, I get that. But I'm just, it's just, this is a question that, I was thinking about. The one thing about Fat Han, I think, though, that made the dial change, does that affect Fat Han in how, because a lot of Fat Han is, it's a lot of knife fighting with Han, or it's a lot of, space taking the range 3 shots, so on and so forth. That's the big question that I have about the change to the to the YT-1300 dial is actually an impact to how you can fly lists with that. And that's where I'm wondering if Fat Han will be minimized or reduced, because, and that's something you can ask your son there, is that question.
It's my son's half brother. Yeah.
I'm just going to take these goggles off for a minute. It's a whole new world. And so the thing I used to find really easy about flying Han was you basically you place an obstacle in the center, you one bank, one hard, one bank, one hard, one bank, one hard. You never hit that obstacle. Can't do that because the dial's different. And even if it wasn't, you don't have a 360 turret anymore. So you're now spending actions to rotate that turret to where you think they're going to be and all that kind of stuff. So crack on. If you want to circle an obstacle to try and keep that activated, it's going to be harder because you're going to have to use that 2-turn more, which is going to swing you out a little bit more. And you can create
rid of the 1.
Yeah, you can create your asteroid fields to try and stop that. And 2, you've got to get them in arc. So I feel like it's going to be challenging to play that way. It's because it's different. It's not going to be that
X-Wing easy
mode.
They're going to have to learn how to fly better as opposed to just point and shoot with a turret?
Well, you did. That's it. You didn't point. You just shot.
Yeah, you just shot. But I actually, sitting here right now, I actually did just figure out a way to screw over Han. Are they still going to keep that one that takes the obstacles off the board?
Yeah, the bomb does it. Yeah, the seismic charges do it, and we've not seen a seismic torpedo, but if you watch the video where they talk about the seismic charge, Max says that he finally gets to kill the real enemy, the asteroids.
Yeah.
And you can target lock asteroids.
Yeah. So that's really good fun.
So yeah, with those options, it's like you could remove all the obstacles off the field. Now Han's just a high initiative now.
Yeah. I really like Han's crew card where he still shoots first.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And that's only out of the opposite firing.
So you get to pick one of your 90-degree arcs because you can't.
At initiative 7.
Yeah, and one of
them
fires.
This is the first thing where we actually see something happen at above initiative 6.
Yeah.
This is the first effect that we've seen that allows something to happen at above that.
The interesting takeaway from that as well was where they said about multiple attacks and bonus attacks. You being limited to only 1. So it doesn't matter how many you can stack. So I remember one of the podcasts was talking about cluster missiles and, what's to stop you firing all 4 and wiping out a TIE swarm? Oh, the rules.
Yeah, the rules.
The game rules stop that. Who knew?
So the other point I want to make out real quick, I thought it was interesting when they were showing some of the crew cards. I don't know how deep we're going to get into it. I don't really want to get too far into it, but I thought that it was interesting that some of the crew cards' abilities from first edition are being translated over, but on different, more canonical characters. Yeah. I think was how Alex worded it.
Well, so we know that some people are not making the cut. So
yeah, we know that there are some characters that are not going to cross over into second edition.
Yeah.
My hope is one of the things. This kind of doubles back into what we were saying whenever the Force Awakens core set came out. We got a lot of the Blue Ace or the Omega leaders with no names, and that's because those characters they didn't know, they didn't have names associated to them. So my hope is that it just never felt right to me. You know, it felt when you're in. I like getting submerged into my Star Wars universe, and I can imagine this character or that character playing on the table. And then when you have this is Omega Ace. Well, Omega Ace has got a name. Is he Fred? Is he Bill? Like, who is he? Like, it seems like a generic name.
Harold.
So my hope is that they translate some of those now canonical characters that were not in canon prior to the release of those, is that they keep similar abilities, maybe even similar artwork, and just give them a name.
So one of the things I wanted to touch on briefly as well was the angle of the arcs. Now that we have 4 points, because
this is a good point.
If you look at it's really clear on the screen cap I have for the Omicron group pilot that it doesn't the line of the arc doesn't go all the way to the edge of the cardboard.
Mm-hmm. It's more like 80 degree than it is in 90.
No, as in if you put that into the cardboard, is that narrower, or does that then line up to go to the edge of the base?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Because I think that they've actually changed it so that it looks like it isn't right on the cardboard, but when you put the cardboard in the base, it will be correct.
Because that was one of the weird little things about first editions. They weren't perfect 90 degrees.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
All right. What's that?
We'll see.
One thing about that is that, so looking at it, you're correct. It doesn't go all the way to the corner, which means your side arcs, you're limiting the front. But if that's the same case with everything, then you would have larger side arcs than you would front arcs.
Which would be a benefit to primary turreted weapons or turreted weapons to kind of give a wider arc out of the port and starboard sides.
Right.
One of the other ones I want to point out, because I know we're getting ready to cross over into the Imperials, and we're going to hit one of my favorite pilots, Sincere Fell, but I want to touch real quick on Corn Horn. I think that it is really interesting that they take a lot of the super powerful attacks, super powerful abilities that were really, really strong, and they made them bullseye arcs. So they are really encouraging you to fly better and get ships into those bullseye arcs. So not only are you trying to get someone within that 90 degrees of your front arc or your rear arc, but then you're also trying to zero in on that ship to be able to pull off that ability. So while his ability basically remains unchanged for all intents and purposes, it has been limited down to that bullseye arc. And I love that. I love the fact that, yes, this is something that's super, super good if you can get it to pull off. You need to be a good pilot to be able to pull it off.
It's when people talk, they've nerfed Corran. It's like, well, they've nerfed everything. Everything that did that now does it in this way. Get good.
Right, exactly. Just if you fly better, it flies exactly the same way. Nothing changed.
The other one I've heard people complaining about with Corran is that he's not a Force user. And the stuff I heard on the grapevine was that whilst LFL were really fine with ships, because this ship could be somewhere in the galaxy. Doesn't matter. You keep it. It's fine to stay in the game. Certain Force users, because of the setting and it's unexplored, that's one thing they want quite tight control over.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Because while we recognize that Cornhorn may have been a Force user in
Legends.
What are they called? Legends now? It's not even expanded in Legends?
Yeah, I think the way it was put to me was that a guy called Corran Horn could have flown an E-Wing somewhere in the galaxy.
Absolutely.
A Force user called Corran Horn flying an E-Wing becomes something entirely different, which needs to be accounted for because like Inquisitors existed. Why wasn't he recruited into this? And the big storyline. So I think that's where we're gonna get just complete fishing stuff out of the air. That looks like we're going to get a lot of stuff like that, filling in that 30 years between Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with that. All right, I think we're ready to spill over into our favorites. Chad,
look down.
We're going to get into our favorite our faction, the Imperial, the Imperials, the Galactic Empire. So you have a couple of highlights and lowlights you want to hit, Chad. I'll let you go ahead and start.
Wow.
It's going to be goggled. It's goggled up, isn't it? It's goggled. I can see it now.
Yeah, you can start negative if you want. Go ahead.
Yeah. Right. So I am not super happy with what they did to the Phantom. I'm not quite sure I like some of the changes they made to it. One of the appeals, or both of the appeals to the Phantom, they've changed on it.
The 4 attack dice.
The 4 attack dice is one of them. And then the way it cloaks. I was a real big fan of the advanced cloaking device. I thought it helped out with any shots back you were going to get. But like we kind of said, now that those firing arcs with the turrets are just the 180, you can get out of the arc of the ship if you're a good pilot. So yes, to a degree that does help if you get out of that firing arc, but the fact that you have to keep a hold of that evade token to recloak, I'm like, I'm not 100% sure I enjoy that.
Well, what it does is it forces you into a space of, am I going to decloak and risk taking the shot?
Right, with 1 fewer die now.
With 1 fewer die. Well, because, I mean, they really have restricted the number of ships that are at 4 attack dice. Like, I know I saw that, obviously, Dash is at 4 attack dice.
But doesn't get primary bonus at range 1.
Right, exactly. And then you have the Ghost that I saw at 4 attack dice.
Yeah. Well, how many Empire ships have 4 attack dice?
0.
0 now. So
the big complaint,
they're messing over the Empire.
The big complaint was always, why is the Phantom the one with 4? I think 3 fits it perfectly. If a Phantom came out in Wave 4 of 1.0 with 3 attack dice, people would have still played it.
Yeah, because I think they still would have definitely been working around with the way the cloaking works.
Yeah.
And
I think it was more of it felt more of a deadlier ship because of the cloaking ability and all that, and to help make it more deadly, they gave it that 4th one. But it does only have the 3 wings with the shots coming off of, I think, each one of those wings, I think, is how that works.
So, really, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to enjoy flying Echo again. I'm really looking forward to doing it. But I think what fell into this one for me is it's really just encouraging you to fly better. It's really encouraging you to put your ship in the right position to decloak, turn in, and get those shots, and then cloak back.
If you think about having an X-Wing in 1.0 that could cloak and evade, and got an evade token when it decloaked, and could cloak for 3 for 0 cost, it gets to cloak for 3 again if you manage to not spend that cloak. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of the thing of having played the mechanic as long as I have and everything. It's an adjustment, but the whole focus on flying, yes, exactly, it's the goggles. But the whole focus on flying better, and then they made no changes to the dial.
I think the dial has to be challenging to use because of the lateral movement from that cloak or decloak is so strong that I think it has to keep that. If you never cloak a Phantom, that dial is pretty restricted.
Yes,
but you don't play Phantoms that way, and you've got to look at the Imdar test pilot was the generic they spoiled, and that's at initiative 3.
Yes.
So that looks like the lowest initiative test pilot, except normally the naming convention tends to be that the test pilot is the lowest one.
Right. See, I thought, like, for example, the dial for the Phantom could have used the Talon roll. It would have made a little bit more sense. I mean, with a ship that cloaks and everything, all of a sudden you've moved and now you can be facing a different way or be somewhere else like that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
that would be
dangerous, far too much
ship.
lateral movement.
Especially with like Echo, for example. Imagine she's pulling off a bank down here and then she's down here with a Talon. That would be crazy.
Learn to fly better.
Yeah. I think the argument I could probably see for adding anything to the dial might have been a Segnar's loop.
I would just want a 1 forwards. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah.
That's what I would always add.
I know, but the 1 forward on an Imperial ship would just make it too brutal. You know, if you're going to take the 1 turn away from the Rebel YT-1300, which is a very maneuverable ship, and you add a 1 straight, you're 1 straight with a 1 turn, now you're into X-Wing insanity with a 1 turn. So now you just made it, an extremely nimble ship. The thing is that I look at with the Phantoms, and I've always seen with the Phantoms, when the Phantoms were the strongest, it was when you could put Echo and Whisper on the table at one time.
Yeah.
And what you could do with them. Aaron Bonner proved it with 87 and 86. And how brutal that list was, just because you couldn't track it unless you were absolutely playing turrets, but you're still at a disadvantage with turrets, because you're only throwing 4 dice to their 3 dice most of the time. And that's a big difference.
The good thing now is, you're going to be throwing your dice against the 2 dice plus evade token, but you have to get them in arc. Whether that's a mobile arc or not, you still have to get them there. And
I think there's something else we're not accounting for. It's something that like Alex kind of dropped in during the openings that I really thought is whenever he was talking about TIE fighters. And how he was talking about how, they've only got 2 attack dice, but they've really dropped down the power of defense and defense dice. So while 3 dice going from 3 dice to from 4 feels like it might be a nerf, we don't know how the defenses are going to work out. That it still might feel the same. It still might be just as lethal.
That's what I wanted to move on to when it gets around to me. I was going to touch on token stacking and stuff, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll graze over that one then.
Yeah, I was going to say that was one of my complaints.
Yeah,
you have another one.
Yeah, I have another one. One of the other ships that I've liked to fly before, and I'm not even going to get into the whole fire spray is not part of the Empire thing anymore. They kind of took away my other love. But anyhow,
you just need to fly Scum if you want to fly your girl Kath. That's all.
I can't do that.
Can't do it.
The Kath Scarlet love train that they gave her. They've got a title. She now leads the Banari Pirates. Come on, get on board.
So
get on board with Kath Scarlet love train, Chad.
Rosie 95's.
I'm Empire. I'm sorry. She's betrayed me. She's not only she hasn't just left me for another man, but she moved to another country.
When did you last pay her?
The campaign gets canceled.
No, pay. You never pay, man. That's why she's a mercenary. If you don't pay up, she moves on.
She just went on to the next highest bidder. Anyway, so
I showed her love. Come on, I played her. Anyhow, one of my other big complaints is the removal of a maneuver on a dial for a different maneuver.
Two different
Well, okay, technically it's left 2, right. Yes, but left and right. It's left Twix, right Twix. It's the same thing. I mean, but on the interceptor dial, they did give it the 2 Segnar's loops at the cost of the 5K, which is a maneuver I did use myself quite often.
But he got 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
No, it's 3. Okay, I'm sorry. 3.
Think about it this way. You have a designer that loves A-Wings, which now has the best dial in the game.
Of course.
And the only way that they could do that, the only way they could do it was to limit, the interceptor dial, which had the best dial in the game, or dial in the game.
I would argue that 3 Talon roll and 4K is pretty versatile. I've played with Star Viper a lot, and the number of times I wished I had a 4K on that dial. and the rest of the Star Viper dial is nowhere near as good as the Interceptor dial. So I mean, it's different, but I think you'll still like it. There's a lot more to consider. Like you can block a 4 or 5K with a large base ship. To block a 4K and both Talon rolls with a large base ship is impossible, I think.
Isn't this a Segnor's loop?
Sorry, yeah. Segnor, not Talon roll. Sorry.
I think the Segnor is better than the 5K in my opinion because it gives you a different way to reposition. You know, if this game becomes a positional game, interceptors were hard to begin with, you know, because of their maneuverability, the way the dial is structured, where, you know, their whole 2 range is blue, so they can clear stress.
Came on. Sorry,
you know, but that's my thing, is that when you can reposition to the side with this ship, that's pretty powerful in my opinion.
And they're one of the
shifts the bullseye arc.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're one of the few ships in the game that can still do the boost barrel roll repositioning. Like, I don't know that the A-Wing, because I didn't remember seeing any linked actions.
A-Wing can boost off everything. That's its ship ability, is that after performing any action, it can perform a boost.
Okay.
A red boost.
Right, so I guess they can still do it too. So they're both like basically comparable, except one has 3 attack dice. And
one has a barrel roll.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But like I said, though, I mean, my whole thing is like, I'd pull off that 5K every so often, and I like to pull off maneuvers when people aren't expecting them. They're like, okay, here's the obvious maneuver. This is what he really needs to do to be really good with what's about to go down. And then I pull off that like weird wonky maneuver, like a 5K, for example. And people are like, oh, I really wasn't even thinking about that. They don't see it that often, and that's how I like to do those maneuvers.
He did pull this one off a lot.
So like, I mean, that was all like, nah. I mean, I like Soontir's an Ish 6. I do like that.
Now you have the Segnor where you're moving last, able to reposition off a Segnor, realigning your bullseye arc in a better position, in my opinion, than what a K-turn would do. It's, you know, or the longer K-turn would do. I think that you're going to get more bang for your buck out of this than you would out of the other.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I honestly think that I think it's going to be... It's a different dial, but I don't think it's necessarily worse. It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to...
I just, like I said, I like the 5K. Sometimes I knew they're doing a K-turn, I'm doing a K-turn. That 5K gets me at range 3 so that my auto thrusters kicks in.
You don't have auto thrusters anymore. Well, you do, but we don't
They're built in now.
They don't do what you think they do.
No, they don't. But anyhow... that was my hate on that one.
What did you feel about the change to, since we're talking our boy Soontir, his ability is now a bullseye arc ability?
That's, I mean,
it still basically does the same thing.
It's more of a lateral move.
You don't need any stress.
Yeah, you don't build up any stress.
I don't need to build stress up to get that extra focus now, but like if I get them in that bullseye firing arc, which boost, barrel roll, I mean those scenarios there, you get that. Whereas like the Segnor's loop, I mean, that is a reposition to a degree and all that, and the red.
More importantly, I think that makes Soontir one of the few pilots who can actually token stack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah, I mean
he's going to be a repositioning machine when you get down to it, because you could boost, you know, do a red barrel roll, get him an arc, get a focus token, and still be in an incredible position to do a lot of damage. Yeah. You know, Segnor's loop, you could boost Segnor's loop, same thing, barrel roll second. You know, there's just so much you can do. Soontir, I think, will be, for the good pilots, the ones who know how to fly precision game flying. Soontir is going to be a favorite. At least I believe it will be, because you can do so much with Soontir compared to what you could do before, because you were so limited in the push the limit, get the stress phase, have to clear your stress, you know, to be able to, you know, keep that engine going. This one here, you could, you know, boost, get in position, you know, gain your focus, use your focus, You could arc dodge, I think, better with this too, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I am going to go ahead and give Soontir a shot whenever Wave 2 hits and all that. Whisper, I might be a little bit more reluctant to do that, but I am definitely going to see how new Soontir feels.
I think an Echo Soontir, if you could fit it, an Echo Soontir Invader would be a pretty good list.
My standout is Baron of the Empire / generic Inquisitor.
Yep, I was gonna ask if you were gonna bring this one up. Yeah. You have generic Force users.
Yeah, the Empire has generic Force users. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
But other people still do have Force users, though. The Empire does not have anything specific to it.
It has generic Force users, Chad.
Generic Force users.
That means it's still a Force user. That's.
But some of the dark side, we haven't seen dark side Force powers yet. Like the ones that we've seen, like
if those come out and they're cool, then okay, so fine. They finally did something.
Yeah, keep in mind how those work is that they take the spot of the talent slot, and then you can put a dark side slot in there instead. So there could be some really cool dark side Force talents that we've simply not seen. They've not revealed a lot of them that could make having a generic Force user on the table ridiculous.
You get a Force charge and can take an evade. So one thing on the TIE Advanced version 1 that I really like is that it doesn't have a ship ability. So the stupid target lock being the only way to get your evade is gone. I didn't like that anyway. It was just some way of making the ship feel distinct. I feel like not having a ship ability makes it more distinct to the normal TIE Advanced, having its like advanced targeting computer thing. So this guy can... Well, the Inquisitor, so she will say Seventh Sister, because why not? Hopefully they actually give her a pilot herself, but I'll take what I can get. Has a Force charge, which lets you convert one eyeball to a result, and you could have taken an evade action, which can change a blank to an evade. So that, again, you've got generics who can now token stack without taking any penalty.
Whatsoever. Yeah. And I like the changes to the dial. I like that they've added the 2 talent roll on that.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that was really super unfortunate because you only ever saw the Inquisitor, and now he is the Grand Inquisitor because we know that there's more than one. That's one of the things they didn't know. They honestly didn't know when they designed the ship that there were more than one. So he is now the Grand Inquisitor, and he always made the same move. Because you always wanted to keep him at range 3. He's basically stayed the same. But you always wanted to keep him at range 3, so you always did the little hard one, green, blow off the stress, and just keep that same maneuver on there. And you never really got a ton of repositioning, I felt, with that ship. It's one of the downsides to it, I honestly felt. Having the ability to toss in a 2 talent roll in there, that opened up a lot of space for me as far as how to fly that ship.
Yeah, so that was my standout anyway.
Sean, do you have one?
I have 2, actually. 2 quick ones. One is they put the rear arc on the shuttle.
Yes.
I was going to say, Chad
that was my positive that I didn't get to. I focused on the negatives, and I didn't get to my positive. I didn't get to the positive one yet. Although they handed out the Space Cow's Red Zero maneuver to other ships, which...
Because it's so
I gave you a white coordinate and a white reinforce, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Right, but they've given it to other ships, too. It's like... I'm still waiting. Like we said, there might be something coming, but I'm still waiting for that. Empire's really the only faction that gets this. Like I said, there might be something coming out. We haven't seen everything yet, but
it's got a rear arc.
It does have a rear arc. There are other ships that have multiple arcs, though.
You think about how much that makes that ship more valuable in a game.
Oh, it
exactly.
Does.
With the rear arc.
It eliminates the whole follow me and just kill me thing. I love that.
The other thing is you can fly that thing down the middle now.
Yeah. Right.
You don't have to fly it on the edge.
I used to do that anyway.
But what it does is, flying the Space Cow used to be very. If you weren't using it as a Palp Caddy, because if you're using it as a Palp Caddy, you basically kept that thing in the outside. You rarely engaged it unless you knew you could get in. But for the most part, if you're flying it for other purposes... Which was
before Palp was the last time anyone's done that.
Right, exactly. You'd fly in, you take a couple of shots, and then you take 6 turns to re-engage into combat. That's gone.
Yeah, you're in combat all the time, and you're taking 1 less damage to a minimum of 1 per attack, regardless of your dice roll.
Yeah.
Because reinforce is reinforcement. Your 10 health suddenly got a massive boost. Like you're looking at probably at least 4 or 5 extra health from that reinforce.
Right.
A minimum of 3 extra health. No one's going to kill it in like two shots.
Yeah, no, I love the Space Cow.
The second change I like is the reinforce. The reinforce on the VT-49.
Oh yeah.
Because now it's not just a damage suck. You know, it can actually move some damage here and there to last a little bit longer. And for me, because the only ships I ever flew Imperials were the VT-49s and the shuttles, because I don't fit the style of the speed. You know, not having the one straight is killer for me, where these two ships did. But I really enjoy this. I also like the fact that they've changed how Shirno works, and they've changed how Oiken works, which is awesome to me, because bumping Oiken was an incredible way to do it, but I didn't like the fact that it just did auto damage. But now I can be touching you, bumped against you, as long as my arc is in the right spot, I can now attack you.
Yeah. I really like the one hards on the Decimator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That actually made my day when I saw that. I'm like, ooh, now do I want to spend the $50 so that I can fly 2 ships? You know, because that's all I will ever fly in Imperials. Is that now my son plays, then he'll fly everything else. But those are my 2 things that are big in the game.
I think I'm willing to trade the ability to put engine upgrade on it for that hard one turn. To be honest.
I agree.
Yeah.
And not have an engine upgrade. I love the fact that it can't take engine upgrade.
Yeah.
And if you want to give me anything, give me that, because I hated playing against that list when you played against Whisper and Shirno, and Shirno could
Rackfell. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, the Rackfell. You know. But my point is that with the engine upgrade, if you were playing either lower pilot skill ships, or you were playing, lists that were beneath the pilot skill level, you could never shoot at them, because they would just boost out of the way, and then they would torch you with the turret.
Yeah, but I do agree. One more thing about the Space Cow before we go on to other ships and all that. I agree with their analysis of why the dial didn't change. It is simply a transport. It's not meant for battle. It's got some defensive capabilities, which the rear firing arc, ever since that ship came out, I pointed out to Ed, I was like, there are guns on the back of this ship. Look, right here on the model, there's guns
on it.
Yes, I'm like, there are weapons here. Why is there no rear firing arc? There's weapons. Look, it's right here in the model.
They made it a true support ship also with the jam?
Yeah.
Red jam and white coordinate. It's really good.
That is really good. I mean, it makes it a viable ship.
I'd love to have a white coordinate onto Sutnia. That'd be pretty good. I wish my faction had that.
Well, and so what I think the parts that he's not seeing is some of the design space that we've not seen with the Imperials is that they really have a lot of characters and they have a lot of upgrades that are going to boost the rest of your ships. Yeah. So some of the crew cards that could be added to a shuttle that don't necessarily need to be carrying Palpatine, or something like the Decimator.
So good.
He's so good, though. I don't know why you wouldn't like. He's so good.
I love that people. So, well, do you want to just get into token stacking and Palpatine now before we get on to your stuff?
Can I cover one ship before
do that? Okay, sorry.
Because you and I are going to be in agreement on this one.
Yeah.
The Defender. The Defender got an extra shield.
Yeah.
So
I'm over it, Ed. I'm over it. Defenders.
You're over it? I'm not. I'm not at all. So in all of the things that we've seen a lot of the rebalancing between hull versus shield. We've talked about this a bit before, where they lowered the shields and upped the hull, but the Defender got more shields. Now, it also came in built with the TIE X7 upgrade. It got added. Baby. Yeah, they've added a red 2K turn, but they did add an additional K turn on that one. And otherwise, the ship. Did we mention? It's got a freaking boost.
It's got a boost and an evade action.
A boost, an evade, a barrel roll, a target. I'm so looking forward to flying TIE Defenders. The only thing that concerns me, of course, is the way that Alex talked about it when they were revealing the ships, is that they're super expensive. So I'm getting the feeling that my joyous 3 TIE Defender list might not be a thing, because I might only be able to squeeze 2 into a list. But Countess Riot, for all intents and purposes, is got a little bit of a nerf. She's one of the pilots that they showed. And basically, she just lowers, or she increases the difficulty of the turn. So
yeah, so it goes from from blue to white, unless you're doing the 5. Because oh no, it's the wrong ship. I've lost the defender now. Oh no.
Yeah, you can't dial in the green straight maneuver and change it to a green K turn. Basically, if you dial in that straight maneuver, it becomes a white maneuver.
Yeah.
You put PTO on Ryad, and then you're like, oh, I've got 17 tokens, and then I'll just
there's
blow it
no
off.
PTL. There's no PTL. What are you talking about?
I know, and that's why I'm trying to get out of that mindset thought process, because it has no linked actions.
Did you notice that the 1 banks are blue as well?
I did notice that.
That is good. That is good. You have no idea that being able to having to do a hard 1 or hard 2, which is red, but then having to go straight after that to clear the stress. Yeah. 1 banks being blue is awesome.
It doesn't have linked actions because A, it has all those actions. And B, if you're doing a 3, 4, or 5, you're already getting that evade. So
right. So for all intents and purposes, if you're pulling off that 3 move, they're going to fly exactly the way they do. The trick, of course, is you're just not going to get that extra.
There's no linked action now, which gives you maybe a 3rd token possibly, or 2 tokens in a reposition.
So they didn't reveal Visery, for example, and Visery's ability was if somebody was target locked, he got to acquire 1. So I don't want to take jumps in logic. We
don't even know if Visery made it.
We don't know. Yeah, that was the first thing. A, we don't know that Visery made it. And B, we have seen canon characters from 1st edition have completely different abilities in 2nd edition. And then we've seen ones like Garvin, for example, that are exactly the same the way they do it. So I don't want to make that jump in logic to say that Visery is going to do the same thing he did before and still be able to token stack. But even at that, having the focus and evade, or the target lock and evade, the boost in evade, I think they're going to be amazing.
Feels like the Defender's going to be the wrecking ball it needs to be.
Yes, and I'm really looking for it.
Yeah. As long as we get Vader in one, it'll be fine. That'd be fine.
Awesome. Oh, that'd be so good.
Vader in a defense. Why wouldn't you? It doesn't seem broken. It'd be good. It'd be all right.
Oh, not broken at all. Look at that.
Why don't you put the Emperor in a Defender then?
Well, I'm more thinking of Vader's pilot ability. I'm just gonna spend all of my force charges to do every action on my action bar.
Period. Just all of them. I take all of them.
How about some of those crew though? Like for example, like the Emperor, like the way they changed his abilities.
So
likes, dislikes.
I'm extremely happy with the implementation of the Emperor. I don't know if I can talk about. There's a chance that I may have sent an email to someone suggesting a change almost exactly like this to a certain person who may or may not be called Alex Davey about a year ago. And I'm not. And when I said it, it felt really obvious. So I'm really happy with this incarnation of Palpatine.
Because it feels like my idea. I'm not sure what.
No.
Are you suggesting that you're suggesting the change from he can only change focus tokens over to. It's not a question of he still can't change blanks.
So, right, he doesn't change blanks. He just changes those focuses. Yeah. But they took him back to the pre-nerf of he doesn't have to say in advance, "I'm doing this now."
So
it's a balance.
Yeah, he is not as good as unnerfed old Palpatine.
Oh no,
that's a given. But nothing defensively in New X-Wing is.
Right.
What it is what we spoke about what I spoke about with the generic Inquisitors. Being able to quasi-token stack. This is token stacking now for your entire list.
Right.
They have to shoot at somebody, and whichever one they shoot at has got a force charge there to convert a focus after they've seen if they need to or not.
So this is where this gets back into the thing that I was talking about before about how the Empire is going to feel like you're fighting the whole squadron and that they have abilities to bump up the whole squads. Yeah. Palpatine's going to do the exact same thing. You're buying a force point for your entire squad defensively or offensively.
And it's one of those where I've seen a couple of people like lambasting this version of Palpatine. It's like, what about if you could do this in X-Wing 1.0 and this Palpatine costs half a point? Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Palpatine's terrible, I'm never taking him. What if it's only a point? I'll probably take him then.
I would probably take him again. I don't think that's going to be the case.
But you can't. That's what I mean. You take your goggles off. He isn't an 8-point in a 100-point game of current X-Wing where you've got 5 green dice behind focus and current evade. He is, in this regard, of the most dice you'll probably be able to roll is like 4 defense dice, maybe. At range 3. No, 5 with obstructed. Yeah. We've not seen anything adding. They spoke about stealth device, but I don't know if they spoiled it. So we don't know.
I think they did. So I guess that does make it 6 because you could be.
Is it still the same? Genuinely, I don't know. I know they spoke about it.
Well,
but I don't.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
Don't really know how cloak's working either. They didn't say if that was changing or not.
Yeah.
Now I thought that he said that it was basically the same. I don't.
I would assume it's the same, and that they just removed advanced cloaking device. But the removal of token stacking from the game dramatically changes the need of the red dice escalation that happened. So you don't need as many 4 dice attacks to plink 1 damage onto somebody. The fact that evades can only modify a dice that you're rolling, not adding a result, means that you can't sit and wait. Oh, I rolled. If you get 4 hits on someone who's rolling 3 dice with an evade token, they are taking a hit.
Yeah.
Minimum.
So I do.
Right.
They did spoil stealth device. I know because this is a clear-cut one. This isn't like a greenie someone's cell phone. This one. It has got 1 energy charge on it, and this basically does the whole thing once. While defending, if your charge is active, roll 1 additional defense dice. After you suffer a damage, lose 1 charge. So basically the same thing that it always did.
Right, yeah. And it doesn't have a little update arrow on it, I'm assuming, which would mean...
No, it does not recharge.
Good.
So it does the exact same thing it did. Once you hit someone with it, it blows off.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, that's my big thing on people... that's the big goggle moment at the minute, that lots of people are comparing stat lines and abilities to current known quantities. And it's a natural inclination, but you need to get yourself out of that habit if you're going to engage with 2.0 currently, which is really hard to do because obviously we don't know everything. But you need to be able to accept that things will die, and even if they don't, things will give up half points because everything gives up half points. It's like that taking 2 damage on a Phantom now doesn't give up half points because he got an extra hull.
Yay!
Yeah.
So that's a massive boost. You've got to take all of these little things into account when you go through thinking about it. 3 hull ships are really, really good because you end up getting overkills on them, which is wasting offense, because if you do 2 damage here, you've got half points, but to finish it off, you're going to shoot it again to get the full points. So do we now ignore it to get half points off someone else, just in case? If I roll 3 hits and it kills a TIE fighter, I've wasted 2 damage where I could have got points. So you get more options and there's more decision points in the game because of that, which is nothing that we have in the current game. If you've done 2 damage, you keep shooting that same thing until it's dead because you have to get the points for it. Whereas in now, you've got all of these different options.
So, want to ask opinions on one other crew before we leave Empire and everything, because I feel that we're probably getting ready to wrap that up. Darth Vader. Feelings on Darth Vader?
I've not quite got my head around him yet. Obviously, adds the force charge to a ship. And then at the start of the engagement phase, you may choose 1 ship in your firing arc at range 0 to 2 and spend your force charge. If you do, that ship suffers 1 damage unless it chooses to remove a green token. So they've done that wording a lot of unless you choose to remove a green token to prevent negative conditions. Yeah, well, auto damage and negative conditions, which I think, again, decision points are good. It's generally good for the game that even if you make the correct decision every time, at least you're getting to make a decision. It's not a negative play experience because you're playing. So they spoke about removing blinded pilot or changing blinded pilot or whatever it was. That not playing the game isn't fun, and I like it. Again, it's all going to come down to what they cost it at, but it's still auto damage or stripping tokens. So now you can send in your TIE fighters to block people and then auto damage them with Vader, or you can use him to just strip tokens, or you just buff the ship he's on. But if the Phantom still has a crew slot, I'll now stick Vader in a Phantom, baby.
So yeah, I mean, his ability no longer needs you to attack first.
Correct.
So that's a bonus. It doesn't damage you also.
That's a huge bonus.
Which is a huge bonus. I mean, yes, they had to give it some restrictions because they gave it those bonuses, so it has to be in your firing arc, which it did before. You had to be able to shoot at the ship, so that's not really a change there. But the whole thing of they get to pick to remove a token, and they have to be up to range 2 now. So I think those are acceptable downs to what ups they've given.
Remember, if you do it, even this goes before Han shoots.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if Han's only got 1 hull left,
and
you're going to take him out before he shoots at you.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's like, well, someone's losing modifiers from a shot or losing defense from other shots. So you need to put yourself in a position to make it a hard choice. If you only have the 1 shot from the ship Vader's on, and they're going to go, well, I've got enough hull and I want to keep my evade, I'll take the damage, whatever. It's up to you as a player to force this to be a worthwhile decision, which fly better. Get good.
It doesn't eliminate one of my favorite debates when flying TIE Swarm. One of the favorite debates, this is for us old fogies who were around, wave 1, 2, and 3, was, is it better to have 2 Academy tiles or the Doom Shuttle? And the Doom Shuttle was basically the Omicron group with Vader, and it would basically just kill itself. Like, it was called the Doom Shuttle because it was destined to take all the damage from Vader and die, but it was going to take as many ships as it could with it. So that's going to eliminate that debate for me. I still like the idea if the points are equivalent. Again, I'm trying to take those goggles off. Yeah. I still like the crew in general. I could see him easily being on a VT 49.
Phantom. Come on, give me a crew slot on the Phantom.
I'll be honest with you.
Force charge on the Phantom.
Doom Shuttle 2.0, because you can do it out of the rear arc.
Ooh, yeah, that's a firing arc. Yeah.
Wow. All right, you've just reopened the debate for me now, Kris. Sean, thank you.
So yeah, I think Vader. You're going to see Vader more often with 2.0 than you did in 1.0.
He was always a good choice. Good choice in first edition for a long time.
He was, and then the Emperor came along, and
it was always
you
him
stopped
and
seeing
Rebel
Vader
Captive.
on the shuttles.
Like they exchanged the design choice. Do you take Vader or you take Rebel Captive?
Which we need to pick up the pace. Sorry, because
I was going to say
before I go and
So I was just going to point out that I forgot to mention that the Emperor now says it has to be another ship other than your own.
Does it?
Does it?
I thought I saw that.
Oh, so yeah, it does, but he gives his ship the force charge anyway by having.
Oh, for being on it. Yeah. Okay, so technically his ability would work on his own ship, and Vader doesn't say it has to be an enemy ship either.
No, it doesn't.
So if you've got quick draw?
You failed me for the last time.
I missed that.
So I don't know if Dead Man Switch is still going to be a thing. I mean, that would be fun to have Vader just.
But I think
you're in that cluster of my guys. Boom, you're dead. And now your thing's going to go off. Or quick draw. Like, hey, I'm going to proc you before anybody else shoots.
Proc you.
Yeah, well. All right, let's go ahead and...
so we got to move on.
Move on.
The scum. This is the one that you did not necessarily.
So I got to watch 2 out of 3 videos just because.
That's fine.
Yeah, no,
I'll give you some views later on the Scum video, Chris.
It's good. I wanted to do.
Because I'm sure we won't be able to cover everything.
No.
So I get some highlights.
So really quick. So I'm going to throw this out there. Scum, I think, may have gotten a little better with this because of what they did to the fire spray. Makes the fire spray viable, along with the bots are still good. Along with now you have a better, or the same Fen Rao with, to me, what's a kind of a better play. There's a lot more. The Sikhs are going to be fun. So
I
just
what they did with the Sikhs. That was one of the ships I wanted to highlight. We'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, just starting out, I think Scum is going to be fun to play.
Well, Scum is in that weird spot where they didn't come out, and they came late to the party as far as design. So, like, that faction was really kind of fleshed out on how they wanted it to feel. So they're one of the ones, like, I recognize there are some minor changes and some minor tweaks, but they also feel like the one that's the least changed as far as the look and feel of how that faction flies. They're still trying to screw over their buddies. They're still willing to kill you so that they can get out in the deal kind of thing. So I kind of like going into Scum. I think I feel like I know how that squad's going to fly. All right, so who wants to start on this one? Because I know the one that jumped out to me really, really big that I'm like, ooh, now that's interesting.
You throw it like funny stuff.
Quad jumper. The quad jumper's dial now has a reverse 2. It's not a reverse 1. It's a throw to reverse and slam on the gas reverse 2. That's absurd.
The 2 tractor tokens for Space Tug Tractor Array is really strong as well. Because that lets you automatically be able to barrel roll or boost a medium base ship, or reduces the agility of a small base ship by 2.
Yes.
That's really good.
That is really good. So that is one of the ones that's one of the ones I wanted to point out that I really liked where the ship because that was one of those ones that fell into a weird design space for me. Like I remember when they first came out, everyone's like, "Oh, everyone's going to run 4 quad jumpers," and then they did, and it didn't do well, and then they just went away. The second one I want to point out is what they did with the Seek. Now the Seek was always in this weird space for me but I've got Z95s. Why do I want to fly Seeks when I've got Z95s? And they kind of just took the direction of, well, if you're like, they wanted to distinguish the two, the Z95 from the Seek, and they said, all right, we're going to take the heavy Seek version. They gave it the shield upgrade, and they're really focusing it as a gun caddy, as opposed to the small arms fire ship that people tried to run in for the minimal ones. And I like that. That really gives that ship its own identity, as opposed to kind of sharing this, squeezing it and sharing space with the Z95. Those were the 2 things that I really liked from my highlights.
I think I need to do 2 because...
Go ahead, of course.
One, obviously, Guri.
Guri's now the best.
She's still Initiative 5. But Caesar went down to 4, so she's now awesome. I would assume the highest initiative, Star Viper. Keeping the title for the Weird and Wonderful barrel rolls. And yeah, I'm pretty excited that Guri is now better than Caesar. Then so much has changed for Scum. There's so much. Lots to talk about. I'm probably going to have to say, just as Sean said, fire sprays in general being good. The going on to medium base, getting all of the
hard one turn, thank God.
Yeah, getting a good dial. They're just good. There's no way around it. You've got all the ones with blues that aren't hard, all the 2s, 3 Talon rolls on the medium base, and 3. It's just good. It's just so good.
It's gonna fly like that ship looks and feels in the movies. To be honest with you, that's really what I'm looking forward to. It never felt right people tried so hard to make the Imperial version work, and then when they moved it over to Scum, they were stuck. They had to use the same dial.
And a boost. And a boost.
Oh yeah, and then it's got
and a red reinforce. What do you want?
You would just add that stuff in.
Oh, you can. The fire spray can evade. Oh, that's a bit stupid. Tell you what, it's just chunky. It can just take a beating. We'll give it reinforce because that doesn't go away. It's so good.
Yeah.
So Chris, you've already jumped on my favorite change, which is is this ship. I used to love this ship, but I would never really play it because the dial just didn't fit my style, and it didn't feel right. But the two things about this ship that I love the most, number one, Boba stayed basically the same. You have a good Boba.
Keep in mind. Well, no, because I guess the baked-in title for Slave 1, well, it's not baked in. You actually have to add Slave 1 as a title.
You have to add it.
But it does what the Imperial Boba used to do.
Right, which I hated.
On Scum's ability.
Which I hated, but...
Because it never made sense. Like, he's a super extra maneuverable...
It's not that he's extra maneuverable, it's that he knows where you're going before you do, because he went to Bespin first, and the Falcon's a faster ship.
Right. And what they did is they put that basically in the dial for me by giving it the 1 turns and the Talon rolls. Yeah. The other cool thing about it is the Marauder title.
Yeah.
The Marauder title just makes Cath Scarlet just so awesome. Makes Boba still good. The new Koshka Frost, I'm really excited to get a 3 initiative pilot skill, so a middle of the road, and it's while you defend or perform an attack. The enemy ship, or if the enemy ship is stressed, you may reroll one of your dice. So now you're getting actionable dice out of this. So here's what you get. You get a knife fighter, you get a repositioner, you get a
bullet monkey.
Yep, exactly. The bullet monkey. You get while you perform a primary, secondary arc attack, you may reroll 1 attack die, and I believe I can't.
Gunner slot.
And it adds a gunner slot. So now I can put a gunner in this, which means I'm in some way, shape, or form affecting my dice after I've rolled them. Yeah. Or having another style attack. I don't know what to say. I mean, to me, this is going, for Scum, between keeping the robots basically the way that they were, and then, for the most part, and then making this ship better. Scum for me just got 1,000 times better, and I love playing Scum.
Just from this ship, the one correction to this one ship has done it for you.
It has. It actually has made it so that I really want to immerse myself in playing a list with this ship, and especially with Boba Fett, Cath, and Koshka, that they've shown so far, and even Crassus maybe. I'm just looking forward to this. This ship and getting it on the table. Not the Slave 1 title, that'll be back in the book right away. But the Marauder will definitely be forefront, I think, in all of my builds.
I've got a new standout card that I forgot. IGs have gone onto a medium base.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cloaking device is small or medium ship only.
And has 2 charges. So it doesn't get...
I don't care how many times you can do it, but you can cloak IGs.
That's going to be fun.
That's my least favorite now.
Cannot wait.
Okay. Has anyone else got...
I have. We can't go without not discussing the Jump Master.
Oh, what about Morello? I'm going to fly off the table. Or am I?
That's true, too. That's a good one. So the YV666 has an ability. Well, the one specific YV666 has the ability to spend a charge. Spend a charge when it goes off the board to then come back on the board on that same table edge. So it goes into reserve.
The next round, you can bring it back on.
The next round, it comes back in.
Interesting.
So the example that I heard someone give is you could line up here. All the ships could line up here to kind of come down and take it.
You deploy in the bottom right-hand corner, and then your opponent has to decide whether you're going to dial in the whatever hard right, and just fly it off a table first turn, and come in behind.
And then come back in behind them the next turn.
Oh, yeah, because you could come in over in their deployment zone.
Uh-huh. And that's gonna be super hot. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. For me, we've got to talk about the Jumpmaster real quick.
Getting its torpedo.
This is one of the ships that is probably next, right above the TIE Phantom, that was nerfed the hardest and got hit with the nerf bat as many times as they could during the course of first edition. They changed what EPTs could go on. They eventually got to the point where they removed slots from the card, so you would buy the ship and get upgrades that you couldn't actually use to try to correct this one. So like they kind of got the idea, they got the hint. We didn't get this one right. So this gave them the opportunity to adjust the dial. It's way more asymmetric than it used to be. Well,
it's actually asymmetric now. Yes. And the colors aside, there is a move. It has a left swoop 3, but it does not have a right swoop 3.
Correct.
Huh.
So it's actually asymmetric. I would have still liked to have. I would have gone harder. You can no. I wouldn't have given it a 1 hard right at all.
Really?
That's what I think. Because
you don't. The fact that it can't actually reposition its primary firing arc unless it's red, you don't think that was enough?
And and the fact that it doesn't have a primary firing arc.
Yeah.
If you look at the insert, it doesn't have a shaded area. It is only its mobile arc.
I don't have that on my little sheet here.
You need to go all the way up to Dengar.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, it basically... Some of them still have... Like, the Shadowcaster has still got its mobile arc and a primary, but
the Shadowcaster got bumped down to a 2 for its...
Yeah.
For its,
but Dengar's... Yeah, they show Dengar's punch, and it does not have a primary arc at all. It's only its turreted arc, so there's no shaded area. And you can only move it by focusing LinkedIn to move it, or target lock LinkedIn, and those are red.
And Dengar's ability is only out of the front firing arc.
Yes.
So if and that's sort of the similar way that was before, but like, so if he's pointing backwards, he doesn't get to do that. He doesn't get to spend his charge to get that second attack. It doesn't work that way.
I feel like there may have been some goggles left over when they were going on to... Again, they can probably keep it really cheap and keep it with the torpedo slot. Because you get charges on the torpedoes, it should be fine. I think there's still going to be some interplay here on how you can use it, but I'm excited to see. This is one. Yeah, this is one where I'm really excited to see exactly what they've done, and I don't think you can go too deep until you know the points cost of it. And
right, no,
like that.
Of course. I'm simply going down from, as we started this conversation off, I'm looking at the dials, the stats, and then the abilities. Yeah. And you can tell that this one was, it came out of the package with bubble wrap on, because they just, like, we know we messed this one up. And they can probably adjust point costs here and there. If it turns out, nobody's flying them, they can drop them back down. But they're in a safe spot where they got the dial correct. At least I feel they did. And they've definitely toned down what it can do. It can still do the barrel roll, but it's red. And it can still reposition its arc, but it's red.
Okay, so punishing 1 title only gives you a bonus attack if you're in the primary arc.
And it costs you a crew slot.
And it costs you a crew slot, and it has to be your primary attack. It costs you your crew, but you get to add a droid. So that's interesting.
And one of the other things I thought was interesting was they only showed 1 turret upgrade, and they showed it when they were talking about the TIE Aggressor.
Yeah, the
but they said
turret.
that a lot of the turned out to be primary turreted ships just became primary weapons.
Yeah.
So for example, the Hawk, for example, doesn't have a front firing arc. It's got that. So there aren't a lot of turret upgrades anymore.
No, I think it's good doing it that way, in that you get to... The turrets you put in can do something on top of what the ship does.
Right. And I like that design space. Did you happen to talk about the heavy laser cannon at all?
No. I did mention it was the bullseye firing arc, didn't I?
Yeah. Was that on off mic conversation?
No, it was during while we were talking about stuff, but you can go into specifics.
When we're talking soon here, but
yeah. Oh, gotcha. So yeah, that one, it's still the 4 attack dice, but it's primary.
It's bullseye.
The bullseye arc only.
I will make one scum comment though. Kath, I love you. Come back.
With the HLC as well, you do get range modifiers if you're at range 3. I'm just trying to find it to make sure I'm not lying. It's for... I don't even know where it is. But I believe... So turrets and cannons get range bonuses and modifiers now. But it is bullseye only. And HLC happens after modifying dice now, not after rolling them. Which was a stupid timing window anyway.
Yeah, it's always weird. Never really cared about. I'm trying to go through and see, because again, Scum's borrowed a lot of ships from other factions. Yeah. So like the Hawks are still Hawks, Z's are still Z's. They still get the list. It's the same thing that they used to do before.
And they stole the fire spray.
They did. And I
miss you, Kath.
I think that's about everything to chat
about.
Yeah,
I think that's about it.
I do have a plane to catch.
Of course. All right, well then we're going to go ahead and button it up right after this. All right, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Of course, we are still kind of negotiating on what we want to do as far as a name and kind of look and feel for the X-Men podcast, but we still want to keep getting content out there until we kind of settle on that one. So we will be back in again 2 weeks. We're going to try to do this every 2 weeks and have shows out there for you. I don't know when, Kris, you're going to have the opportunity to edit this while you're over.
Depending on what the plane's like and if I can get it through my Dropbox in time, I'll hopefully edit it on the plane. It should be out probably Monday or Tuesday at the latest.
Okay, perfect. So you'll be able to see that. And then, of course, you can catch it on if you're listening to this, you can also go on to Kris's YouTube channel and catch it there. And you can see our smiling faces and me looking in the wrong direction because I'm talking to Chad over here or down there, and I'm supposed to be looking right there. Keeping in mind, we did 70 episodes of a podcast where I talked to Chad like this the whole time because nobody was looking at our faces. So now I've got a little BB-8 model sitting right next to the camera, and I'm talking to
still don't look at.
Yeah, I've done better, I feel, this episode. When I see it, I'm probably going to be wrong. But yeah, no, we'll be back in again in 2 weeks, and we're going to cover over. I'm sure that they're going to give us more of a slow bleed as far as some of the named pilots. I think they really did drop a ton on us with dials and generics, and so now we kind of get a better idea, but there's still a ton to cover for second edition. And by the way, first edition is still valid if you want to get some of that second edition swag. So we're still going to kind of cover both until second edition comes to fruition. So I do want to thank Sean, of course, for joining us. Sean, thank you so much.
Great to be here, guys. Still getting used to this modern setup stuff and having this weird mic looking at me with all, it's like more professional. Hard part for me is going to be used to how to use my monitors because my monitors are stacked but not side by side. So you'll see me looking up because that's where Ed and everybody is. So sure. I'll have to figure this out at some point here and make it so that it's, well, really and truthfully, nobody probably really cares which way I'm looking. I could probably be staring at my door and people would probably be happier that way. But the goal is to keep the rambling down, so as I kind of go off on tangents at times. But great to be here. I'm glad we're doing this again. It's fun. Yeah. 2.0 really has me excited for X-Wing. I had lost my I'm not going to be running X-Wing events, so that's one thing for me that'll change. But I'm excited to be back. Excited to be back with my friends again, talking X-Wing and. Hopefully with some shorter shows, maybe, that might be something we work on.
That was the plan for this one.
Well, this one's a big one, though. So, and the ulterior motive is to keep Kris from packing. We're going to try to stress him out a little bit.
Oh, it's fine. I don't need clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Just put them in your pockets and go. But, yeah, glad to be back. This is going to be fun. 2.0 is going to be fun. And we're really, really looking forward to coming up with a name that, we can all agree on. So we'll see what happens.
We've got some ideas floating out there, but I don't think like I said, nothing's really stuck to the wall yet. We'll get to it. Kris, obviously fun. Always fun talking to you. Good luck on your trip. I hope you enjoy it. If the opportunity presents itself, I will try to swing by on that boat. Maybe we can have a beer in a bar somewhere.
Yeah, well, let us know when you're in Scotland. I know my mum's been hassling me to try and get up to Scotland anyway. So once you know exactly where you're going, just let me know. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, like I said, there's no real plan for this show at the moment. We're still just playing it by ear and having fun. So for now, I think we're happy just throwing it all onto a Dice Hate channel for YouTube, and then just on the RSS feed for right. So you can find the Dice Hate podcast on iTunes, and it's hosted on SoundCloud at the moment.
Chad, always good talking to you. You've got another costume. Oh, look at that! I got to tuck that way. You have a new costume contest that you need to go to, so let's get you buttoned up.
Yep. It's always great to be here, everybody. For those of you who are watching in this transition period, keep sending us some messages through the Facebook page that still exists.
So does.
Flood Dice Hate with all the messages you can and everything.
If you want to phone up while he's on the airplane, absolutely.
Yeah, if you want to maybe help us out a little bit, the Dice Hate Patreon would be a good place to do that if you really want to. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to all the fans and keep watching.
All right, so we're going to get back together after everyone's been overseas and back in 2 weeks, cover all the news. Looking forward to it. So until then, fly casual.